Hello, hello, good evening.
Hello.
We could still do the background for Erin and just send her a screenshot of it if you want to do that.
I have my background.
I
Screw
had to
over.
remember to switch my background because I couldn't use the one that I had left on there right now. Do we want to do a picture thing? Because I can change mine if we want to do that. But if
Yeah.
we don't, I'll just leave it.
No, let's do it. We can send her a screenshot of it, so she'll see what happened.
Okay. All right. I will download it from the email that you sent me.
I have to move to the side so it shows.
Yeah, I'm trying to move over. Yeah. There we go. Way over.
I thought, oh, Erin is here. And then I realized Randell is signed in as Erin.
Oh, you have to change that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you might.
And hopefully they haven't just merged into one person.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking that would necessarily be a good thing.
Well, it's funny,
agree.
every time I'm typing emails and I type in ER, it's always Randell and Aaron because of last name and first name. So like whenever I need them both, like ER.
Give folks a few more minutes. You know, folks are probably making their way. Good evening, folks. Good to see everybody. Good evening to the members of the public. We'll be getting started in just a few minutes.
All right, there we go. That was very strange. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was in the room asking if people heard. I got a whole different interface
What?
because I was doing the join instead of just clicking the link because I wanted to set my name because you can set your name, and then it was very odd.
Oh, wow. Yesterday, Bonk had problems because they gave out the wrong meeting link. They got the numbers, like one of them one off somehow, and it made the meeting start 40 minutes late. It's exciting.
Well, the link was broken
Yeah.
and the meeting ID was wrong.
Nice.
They should not have been allowed to have that meeting.
Interesting.
But the city attorney was there, or, a deputy city attorney was there and said they could if they fixed the web page and corrected it there. I don't know.
I know they kept saying they get 60 people. I wonder how many people they normally get because I have no
I
idea.
don't know. I don't know.
Since Erin can't be with us, we're just gonna put it up and do a screenshot and send that to her.
Love it. She's not joining it all tonight.
I don't think so.
Well, yes,
That's
they
how
will-
I
she's
read
not
that
feeling
email.
well. No, unfortunately, she's not feeling well, and on her birthday too. So
Yeah, so-
send her some good positive
oh,
vibes.
there it is. All right.
Tell me when we take the screenshot because I have to move to a white wall with this. So it shows up, please.
Oh, go, you put it on. We can do it now. Well, is this all of us?
Hold on. There we go.
Almost.
Helen,
You
we don't
missed.
have Helen.
Give me a
We're
second.
missing Helen and Brendan
think-
and Kylie.
I think Helen may be coming a minute or two late also.
She is.
Yeah.
I believe she told me that she was doing something right before when she was giving me the iPad the other day.
Yeah, she has a presentation right now.
Oh. Why is that?
Correct.
All right, Kylie's with us.
Okay.
Natasha.
Oh my God, guys, it looks so good.
If that's a cookie, I want one.
It's shit. Man, I just don't like backgrounds on my computer. I just don't.
I don't understand. I wonder why. It definitely thinks your face is the background right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, your computer's very confused as to what is what. It
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah,
is
'cause
not
you
the
were
AI
blue
that's taking
yesterday.
over.
I know.
I.
Yeah, that's not the AI that's going to lead to Skynet right there.
How do you? Yeah.
My work computer works, but I don't like to use that computer for anything else because it's public property.
Well, you know what? Maybe if you. Oh, you know what? Try this. Try this, Jesselyn. Put your settle on a spot, and then once you're settled, put your hand over the camera till it goes black, and then come back. No, that didn't help. That works for us sometimes.
That was a good guess. I would have tried that too.
I just need a new computer. Try this. A little better.
That's a little better. At least you're getting all the backdrop. Hold on, my phone is beeping at me.
There is a way to set your default color, but I don't know how to do that.
It's good enough, I think.
Somebody texted me that your skin tone is
It's good
as
now.
the wall, so that's part of the problem. It is in a similar.
Yeah, I mean it's looking pretty good now. It's mostly blue.
So you could do one
You're a
other
little
thing.
blue.
I have one other suggestion, Jesselyn. I don't know if you have us full screen, but I would window us, so get us out of full screen and make the Zoom window as small as possible, and then put something white, like a Word doc or something, on the screen to fill the rest of the screen with white. Because the screen will then act as a light.
Nice.
Too complicated.
Yeah, it's okay. I think it's fine. I just did it, but then I can't see the Zoom when I do that. It's okay.
Well,
you guys want to take a picture
it
right
didn't
now?
make a big
Yeah, let's
difference.
do it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do
Let's
it.
take the picture.
Yeah.
so we-
Okay.
Picture us.
You
All
can
right, so
pretend like you're singing.
Happy birthday.
So for members of the, sorry, hold on one second.
Wait, what's happening?
I was going to
Yeah.
explain to the public what's going
Oh,
on.
here
comes
so folks
Kylie.
know.
Hi.
So, hey, Kylie.
You want to put a
So-
background on for Erin's birthday?
I have a school computer, so it doesn't work.
Okay.
It's all right.
Yeah.
No worries.
So for members of the public, our board president is absent this evening. It's her birthday, and unfortunately, she's not feeling well, so she's in a seat absence tonight. So we are just going to celebrate her as a board before we get started. So thanks for your patience.
Okay, counting down to from 3, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
All
I
right,
took
very good.
3.
Wonderful, thank you. Great way to build communities to celebrate our leader. We are going to miss her this evening. I just want to make sure that there's no other board members in the attendee list.
Good. Cool. I do not see anyone either.
All right. I'm just going to text Brendan.
Ah, very good.
So we're just missing Brendan and Helen right now, right?
Yes, and actually we kind of need Helen.
Oh,
We
that's
kind of do need the secretary. That is kind of a
Didn't
key
need
cog in this
Helen.
operation.
There.
While we're waiting, I encourage everyone to check out the really amazing promotional video for our election. If you haven't seen it already, please check it out. It's super well done by both our ad hoc committee, our ad hoc elections committee, and a local company here in near our neighborhood. So kudos for that project and check it out if you haven't seen it. It's really cool.
Randella, would it be possible for you maybe to play it right now while we're waiting for Helen?
Ooh, can I make you a
Oh, I would have to find the
Panelist?
video.
Oh yeah, no, I can't.
well, we
I'm
can-
actually
Here,
Do it.
I don't have it ready to go, but I mean,
if you give me 30 seconds, I can get there.
thanks, Elliot.
All right, and then if I do this, we'll go here, and we'll pause that. And then I'll go here. And where are you?
you sound like you're in a maze.
A little bit. It's amazing. Where? You're welcome. All right, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Come on. Oh, there it is. Got it. All right, so share sound. And here we go.
Hi, do you love our Palms community? Want to be involved in important decisions going on in our neighborhood? Then vote in our neighborhood council elections on June 8th. Your vote will decide who will sit on a local council and represent you at LA City Hall. Voting is easy and open to more than just residents. If you live, work, or contribute to the Palms community, then you can vote. If you are 16 years old or older, you can vote. And if you're 14 years old or older, you can vote for the youth representative. If you are not a U.S. citizen or legal resident, you can vote too. Due to the pandemic, the election will be held entirely by mail, which is a first for neighborhood councils. For the safety of our community, there will be no in-person voting. You'll need to register online and request a ballot by June 1st. Go to the Palms Neighborhood Council Elections website, where you'll find the link to the City Clerk's Vote by Mail application. Once you create your account and submit a vote by mail application, your ballot will be mailed to you starting May 10th. To find out who's running, go to the candidate list, which includes their statements and photos. If you live in Palms, you can also vote for your residential area representative. Our neighborhood is divided into 5 areas, and to find your area, refer to the Palms Neighborhood Council map. After filling out your ballot, return it by mail or drop it off at the nearest ballot drop box locations listed online. If you mail your ballot, return it in the enclosed prepaid envelope and make sure it's postmarked by Election Day, June 8th. For questions, contact our Elections Committee. And remember, your voice matters. Show your love for Palms. Vote by June 8th.
So good.
There we go.
That really is great. They did such a good job. on
So
their
well
committee.
done.
Wonderful. And now Helen has made it wonderful.
Oh, sorry
Excellent.
about that.
No worries, no worries.
I let them know I had a thing at 7 and it ran over anyway, so.
Glad you could join. If we have an opportunity, we can take another photo at the end of the meeting so that Helen's in it too.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for your patience. I'm glad to see so many members of the public here this evening. My name is Randall Irving. I'm the Vice President of the Palms NC, and I'm going to be chairing the meeting this evening in our President's absence. So we're going to start with roll call.
All right. Aaron has excused absence. Rendell,
Present.
Helen, present. David,
Here.
Brendan. Looks like he is absent. Kay,
Here.
Tanya,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Here.
Jesselyn, Kristen,
Here.
Elliot,
Here.
Josh,
Here.
Kylie.
Here.
Great. So we have quorum with 11 present.
Wonderful, awesome. Glad to see everyone this evening. If you're dialing into this meeting, if you would like to participate in public comment during the public comment portion of the meeting or on any of the agenda items, we'll also allow public comment before we discuss as a board. Folks can press *9. And I assume everyone found the agenda because you made it here, but just in case you have not, our agenda is at palmsnc.la, and you can find it in the calendar. All right, we're going to get started with our community and government reports. And so first up we have, is Rob Fisher here? Rob, if you're here, can you raise your hand, please? Rob is here, wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and allow Rob to speak, and then Rob will give you 2 minutes.
I think
Are we
we've
there?
lost him. He's no longer on the.
There you go. Great.
Hey,
Can everyone
good to
hear
see
me?
you. Yes.
There we go.
Hi, good evening. It was a great video there about the upcoming election. Thank you guys for putting that together. Good to be back here. Just going to give a couple of quick updates. We're very pleased to kick off the first meeting of Councilmember Koretz's homelessness advisory working group. We had our first meeting this last week, and it was off to a good start. We got a broad cross section of folks from different neighborhood councils and different community groups involved there. And I think we'll be making some good progress in terms of getting everyone involved there and coming up with some good creative strategies going forward here, particularly as the budgets are restored for a number of departments and the city starts to reopen post COVID here. Regarding that, please do, and I believe Brad Finkard will be addressing this as well. Vaccines are available for everyone over 16. And there was a mobile site in Century City recently being run by the city. There'll be several other of that sort. You can check on our website or check on the city websites, and you should be able to find that. Councilmember Koretz just put forth a motion to fund prenatal depression for mothers, a really important issue that needs more advocacy and needs more funding for outreach and to engage communities on that. It's a big champion project for him. And lastly, I want to encourage folks to look at Councilmember Koretz's motion on setting up a wildlife preserve in, sorry, I'm not getting the wording right on that, but there's a wildlife preserve being set up in the city, and it's part of the 2040 plan for LA, and there's a lot of information from that on our website and ways that you can participate and how we can create a more sustainable environment and maintain one of the largest wildlife preserves in a major city in the United States. I want to open it up for questions if folks have any. See, my time is almost up.
Yeah, we can allow for a couple questions. Are there anyone from the public has a question? You can raise your hand, or board members also raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, we have 2 hands up. Lee. Oh, thank you, Elliot. Appreciate that.
No problem. If you want to do that's fine, but I'll go ahead and Lee, go ahead when you're ready.
Okay. Hey folks. Yeah, I was curious how that meeting went. Maybe a few the Reader's Digest version with a few details. I'm also particularly wondering where are some possible locations if they've been mapped out. I know some council districts have a number of locations that they're actively looking at, have mapped out, and specifically, and I'm looking at all the locations at least in the city side of CD5, but also in Palms, where there might be some opportunities for housing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know as far as new sites and new projects, I know we've been working some coordinating with CD11 on some sites. I don't have the specific locations offhand in terms of where things are available. I know we're continuing to look at things and working with partners on that. I know there was recently a senior housing project that is moving forward, supported by Councilmember Koretz over in the Pico Robertson area on Holt. But I don't have any other locations right now offhand. I'll be sending them, and I know we're open to that, but it is a big challenge in there in terms of finding sites that are available from the city. Council members put forth a number of possibilities in the past, and they've all been shut down by the CAO's office for not being available for us to develop for housing for any variety of reasons. It is a real challenge of finding those city sites, and in terms of a lot of vacant parking lots or things that lie on private property, we're always happy to engage in conversations with those property owners. Are big supporters of safe parking and safe camping and finding those locations, but it's a real challenge to get private property owners to want to get on board with this. So if you have those connections, we're always open to that, and please do reach out to me or to our office. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more question.
I show Kalani. Kalani, go ahead and unmute yourself. Kalani, do you hear me?
You may have to promote her to a panelist.
Didn't have to do that for Lee.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. I am not a fan of Bonin's bill because as we have just lived through a pandemic.
Sorry,
and
where's the time for questions? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm putting in a question. I will lead up to a question. Believe me, I always end with a question. We have just lived through a pandemic where the 45 did not contain the pandemic, and he allowed states and individuals to try to determine a cure. I think we've learned from history that the best way to control a contagion, a pandemic, or homelessness is to have a mass centralized attack against the issue. Instead of having these piecemeal sites, why isn't the city looking to build in the outskirts of the county where land is cheaper, NIMBY lawsuits are less prevalent, and you would be able to build more housing, more cost-effective housing, and you would be able to provide all of the resources that the people need in a timely manner.
Thank you for that question.
See, it ended with a question.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for your question. I mean, I think it's really important to try to find good sites. Obviously, we can only look within the city in terms of what the oversight of the city council is, and looking for sites outside of there. The other thing is the courts have really shunned away from the ability to move folks around outside of their communities, as has best practices in dealing with our unhoused neighbors. It's really shown that the best way is to focus those resources within our own communities. With that, I do want to mention there are a couple locations that I've now been able to pull up. They're from a motion that Councilmember put forth on April 20th, and those are for a bridge home interim housing on 10755 Venice Boulevard. There is another one, a bridge home for elder care facility 8755 West Olympic. Bridge home at 200 South La Brea. Tiny home that's owned by Culver City. That's one that we're working on with CD 119413 Venice Boulevard. And last two are interim housing safe camping 2352 South Sepulveda. And lastly, 8765 Burton Way for tiny homes or safe camping. So again, if anyone wants that, I can send around the link to that motion, those locations, and I'd be happy to chat about any of those if people want to reach out to me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So that was Rob Fisher from the Councilman's office, Councilmember Koretz. we now have, is Brad here? Brad, can you raise your hand, please? Right. Brad Feingard from Mayor Garcetti's office. I will give you 2 minutes.
Hi there, can you all hear me? Great. As Rob alluded to, we are now at the point where the supply of the vaccine actually kind of exceeds the demand. So we are trying to make every effort to expand the access to the vaccine. This week, we have 260,000 vaccine doses available. That's the largest supply we've ever been able to offer here at the city sites. And to make those vaccination appointments more accessible, we're expanding to 6 days a week. We have appointment-free options available. All of those mobile sites that we've been working on week to week are now accessible through Carbon Health. Those locations are also listed on our website, coronavirus.lacity.org/vaccines. We're adding drive-through options at certain of those fixed sites, and we're actually piloting this week our first night clinic in one of the South LA sites. And I'm working on some proposals for additional locations on the west side where there may be communities that have had difficulty accessing the vaccine, kind of considering pop-up locations, evening locations, weekend locations. So if folks have suggestions, I would be very open to hearing those. So well, that's obviously the main priority. The other big announcement since I talked with you all last, of course, is the mayor's budget proposal. This is the largest budget that the mayor's been able to propose, and I would argue the most progressive of any large city in this country. Nearly $1 billion invested in our homelessness efforts, nearly $1 billion in new equity and justice initiatives, restoring those service reductions that were cut due to the pandemic, and expanding a whole variety of programs sharing alternative dispatch, crisis response, the largest basic income guarantee program, a whole bunch of youth employment opportunities, and actually several new departments as well. So we're very excited about the proposal. Obviously, right now it stands before council, so I'm sure Rob would love to hear your feedback on the proposal, and Councilmember Koretz and their whole team would love to hear where you all stand on some of those issues. So I will end there. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. In the interest of time, we're going to allow folks to go ahead and email Brad if they have questions. His email is brad.feingard@lac.org, and it's on the agenda as well. Thank you so much, Brad, for that update.
Thank you.
We have Officer Ceja here from LAPD. All right. You have 2 minutes, Officer Ceja.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good news. The crime in the Palms area, basically 14827, the basic card for 14827, we have seen a significant reduction in crime. We are currently at 0%. So we're basically in the black. We're not on the red or we're not on the blue when it comes to total crime, property and violent crime. We gain a lot of ground on the robberies. We're at minus 33% right now, reduction in robberies. We still need a little help with the aggravated assault, which is ADW. A lot of it has to do with domestic violence. We need to maybe have an advocate or someone out there, or maybe some meetings where we can meet with victims of domestic violence, so we can educate people on that. In regards to burglaries, we're minus 6.3%. We still need a little help on grand theft auto. We still need to educate the community members out there to buy a club or to put a kill switch or some type of anti-theft device. Burglary from theft from motor vehicles, we're at minus 2.1%, which is, we're doing pretty good. Thefts, bicycles, and petty thefts, we're at minus 2.4%, with a total reduction of 33% in crime in the last 4 weeks. So we're doing pretty good. I contribute that to people actually doing a better job in securing their property inside their homes rather than leaving them in the cars. Also, people are starting to secure their bicycles. That shows a reduction in less bicycles being stolen. And we also received some additional officers for the summer coming up for the beach, and some of these officers have been used are currently being used to patrol some of these high crime locations. So I contribute that reduction to that. If anybody has any questions, you guys can reach me at my email address, 32929@lapd.online. And also, I would like to throw this out there for the board. Pacific Division is currently remodeling their gym. We lost our funding for our gym after all this defunding the police. We already had some allocated funds that we were going to use to upgrade our equipment, treadmills, and stuff like that. And now officers have donated some money. Some Gold's gyms have donated some of their old equipment, but we're still short on some funds. So we wanted to know if the PNC is willing to help the Pacific Boosters with some funds. And I'll leave that up to you, how much you guys can help us out with. And
wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that information and for the update. Since I know it's been a couple of months, so thank you so much for coming to our meeting. I know you couldn't make it last month, and so I'll allow a couple of minutes for board members to ask questions. Elliot, go ahead.
So this isn't so much as a question, but a request, Officer Ceja. For the police gym thing, for our procedure, can you email us a proposal or a set of costs that you might have so that we can look at it? Because we couldn't make any decisions today anyway, but we would need that information and the nonprofit that's involved in order to even take any action.
And who would I address that letter to or proposal?
It could be any of us, but I guess you could send it to Aaron Block and to Randell.
Yeah, you can send it to me.
Okay.
Randell.irving@palmsnc.la.
Got you. I can do that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Are there any board members who have questions? All right. Seeing none. Thank you so much, Officer Ceja.
Okay. For the public, I will still be here for any questions via email.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have Freddie from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Freddie, would you mind raising your hand? Wonderful, thanks. All right, and Freddie, we'll give you 2 minutes as well.
All right, hello everyone. I'm just gonna have a very short announcement. As you know, you probably received the monthly profile. I'll resend it again just in case you haven't received it. That details and gives links about our department's budget that we've recently presented to the Budget and Finance Committee for consideration for the next fiscal year. I want to highlight a couple of things, and then the rest I'll email to the whole board. But the Congress of Neighborhoods, planning for the 2021 Congress of Neighborhoods is underway. So the planning committee, which the new planning committee has been elected on April 10th, they are looking forward to convening hundreds of neighborhood leaders for keynotes, breakout sessions, networking opportunities, and more. They have a survey that I'm going to be sharing to the board, and hopefully you can share it to stakeholders to provide any interest in volunteering or being part of the planning committee or the subcommittees, or any of the topics that might be of interest for workshops. All right. For training, please note that some of the trainings are for the board here are soon to expire, either next month or the month after. So please go to Cornerstone and update your training. If you do not, at least complete the code of conduct, because that will at least keep you eligible as a board member. For the city clerk, they're offering 4 different trainings happening for their financial officer training and special specific training. I'll give you the link for that. On Cornerstone, there's also a Planning 101 training if you're planning to understand a little bit more about planning. And if you are part of the planning committee, it is required. And right now, our department is just mostly focused on answering a lot of questions from the Budget and Finance Committee, since we're currently in hearings for the next 2 days, but I will email you the rest of the information. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those updates. And we'll be sure to share that survey link once we receive it. Thank you. And it looks like there's one question, Elliot. Yeah.
So just really quickly, because we have several committee members in attendance as well, you mentioned board members needing training. What is the status of committee chairs or committee members who are not more board members needing training? In the past, that was not required. Is that changed at all?
So for required training, obviously you have the ethics, funding, and code of conduct. But now with new ordinances and city council files that have required additional training, the Planning 101 training is required for those that are part of the Planning and Land Use Committee, specifically the chair, and also the rest of the committee that's part of that. If there is no Planning and Land Use Committee, then it's the entire board that has to complete it. In effect, there's going to be a couple of other trainings that are in the works that will be detailed, which is the leadership orientation training, the anti-bias training, and the gender and equity training, racial equity training. Those are 3 other trainings that are in the work. Our department is working hand in hand with the personnel department and adding that under Cornerstone. Cornerstone is an actual program that is managed by the personnel department. So they are the ones that grant the licenses, and it's limited to the number of board members that we have. So that's why it's a little bit slower on our end to get that going, because it has to be uploaded, it has to be proper, the third-party vendors, to make sure that it's equitable amongst all board members to be able to access it, or at least complete the training, not only on the computer, but if there's thanks to COVID, there's been a little bit more of an awareness on digital divide. So there has been some alternatives that our department has been trying to think of in creative ways to address some of those board members who might not have access to internet or to computers. For example, one board member in another neighborhood council in the harbor area couldn't complete code of conduct because she did not have a computer or internet access. So we had to do a Zoom over the phone reading of the code of conduct recorded with a verbal acknowledgement of it and consent to on the back end to complete her code of conduct when she understood what was read to her. And so that's one example that I had to do for a board member who didn't have the necessary access to technology. And so again, we're trying to figure out ways of making sure that all our board members are compliant. We're trying to get to that creative yes. The comment I made about the training is that because I copy and paste from rosters on like 2 days before the meeting, the information from rosters on an Excel sheet that has a formula for me that highlights within 30 days or 60 days when they expire or if they're missing or soon to expire. And so they've highlighted specific board members who are within 30 days or 60 days soon to expire trainings and which ones are missing. Please, the reason why I emphasize code of conduct is because our department is under a requirement that if board members do not complete code of conduct training within 30 days of having received access to Cornerstone, there will be a letter of suspension sent to that individual board member. Us as NEAs have the responsibility to make sure we notify both the president and the individual who has not completed that code of conduct training so that there can be an avoidance of that suspension letter. And that's the reason why, we try to work with with our board members as best as we can and offering as many solutions as we can to avoid that, because we don't want any I personally do not want any board members suspended just for that mere technicality that's required by an ordinance, after having been appointed or elected. So, yeah.
So Freddie, I'm sure we all appreciate all that information. I just want to clarify. It sounds like that any training is only required of board members or members of our Plum Committee, and that other committees are not required to take that training. Is that accurate?
Currently, yes. I do want to give you a heads up that the code of conduct is right now going through a working group on revision that might be seeking ways of including committee members to adhere to code of conduct, since there has been a rise of lack of civility amongst committee members towards each other or the members of the public. And so there have been boards, neighborhood council boards, that have required and their standing rules that if you're part of a committee, you complete a code of conduct for non-board members. And we do have a link to that on our website. And
Wonderful.
that,
Thank you so much, Freddie.
yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right. And if folks have additional questions for Freddie, you can also reach out to him via email. I think I saw Armin here from Holly Mitchell's office. Yes. All right. You have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Hello, good evening. My name is Armina and I'm a deputy with the Office of Supervisor Holly Mitchell. And it's a pleasure to be here tonight, although I've had some one-on-one meetings with a number of board members. I wanted to ensure that the Palms community, Palms neighborhood knew that our office has a representative for your area, which is me. And I am available via email. My email address is listed on the agenda. So feel free to reach out to me should you have any direct questions, concerns related to any county matter, as well as if you need assistance with the county department. I'm happy to be your liaison between that department and yourself, of course. Should you want to reach out to our office via phone, our number is 213-974-2222. And secondly, I wanted to announce an event that our office is hosting this Saturday, May 8th, from 10 a.m. to noon. It is a Veterans Food Distribution event at the Culver City Senior Center. The flyer, and along with an RSVP link, is on our website. So if you visit mitchell.lacounty.gov, the flyer is at the very top. So should you know a veteran, or if you are yourself a veteran, please do let them know about this event coming out on Saturday. We want to make sure that we reach out to the community as much as we can. But of course, if you're not a veteran and if you are in need of food assistance, we won't turn you away should you attend this event as well. That is it for me. Thank you so much again for this opportunity for me to present today.
Hi, Armina.
Yes.
Hi, Jocelyn. Great to see you.
And I apologize for mispronouncing your name, Armine, earlier.
Oh, no worries whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you. In the interest of time, we're going to allow folks to also email questions to Armine if they have questions. And we have Joseph Sorosky from the Office of State Senator Cindy Cotmonger. If you're here, can you raise your hand?
If you're on the phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9.
Thank you. All right, not seeing any hands, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next report, which is the Budget Advocate. So our other government departments and community organizations, we have the Budget Advocate. I'm going to ask if it's okay if we shorten these reports to 2 minutes for everybody.
Do my best.
Thanks.
Okay, so the Budget Advocate's white paper addressing concerns with the city budget, including reports on many of the city departments, has been completed and was delivered to the mayor and key budget people at City Hall on April 7th. It is currently just being distributed to city departments and other city officials, budget representatives, and of course, the neighborhood councils. Please take some time to review the white paper and reports to see what resonates with you and your neighborhood council. There were some reports the Budget Advocates were not able to meet with prior to the deadline, so we hope to release articles on them and their budgetary concerns in the next few months. The community impact statements will be requested in support of the white paper, but perhaps more importantly on the individual reports that address services that are of particular interest to the various communities of Los Angeles. Whether you agree with the Budget Advocate's recommendations or not, please make your concerns clear to our elected officials. Federal funds may have resolved the immediate budget crisis, but the city faces further fiscal challenges for the coming year. Tourism will be slow to return to pre-pandemic levels, and with it, the tax revenue the city depends on to pay for services we need. Beyond our concerns with the current and upcoming budget, there is a long-term concern since an influx of federal funds is likely to recur. Such as individuals and neighborhood councils, we need to ask, what is the plan to fully fund core city services and infrastructure? The budget advocates also comment on the mayor's proposed budget and the meetings of the Budget and Finance Committee, and they presented this week. It was a very successful presentation, lots of compliments from Council Member Krikorian. Also, I want to just please and ask everybody to remember October 21st. That is the day that we are setting for budget day, and it will be an online budget day, but it will be August 21st, and we hope you will attend. Thank you. I went fast.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Do we have someone from the Budget Tribunes? All right, Josh, yes, you have 2 minutes.
Great. Thank you, everybody. So yeah, my name is Josh Nadell. I'm the chair of the Budget Tribunes, another budget advocacy alliance, the neighborhood council system. A couple of the big things we have going on. We are having our citywide budget and services event called Follow the Money, LA Budget and Services on Saturday, May 22nd. I will be sending the flyers that we have made out to this NC along with about the 40 or 50 other ones tonight. And I hope that you all attend. The flyers will have the links for both the Zoom and the registration. We will be having the mayor and a couple different council members attending, including Mr. Koretz. Additionally, we are scheduling meetings with all 15 council districts. We are going to 14 meetings over the course of last week, this week, and next week. We still have to schedule something with Council District 9, but all the other ones are accounted for. We'll be writing a small report for that before a meeting with the full Budget and Finance Committee at the end of the month. And then we'll be preparing a report on all of our findings that we heard from all of those council districts and the full committee afterwards. That we'll send out to all the NCs. Other than that, we're still working on an LAPD report that should be coming out in June. And we're always looking for more members. We're now up to 7 youth board members, so we're pretty excited about that. And I believe that they want to be starting a youth alliance across the city as well. And I told them that I would give them a hand with that. So you may be hearing about that as well. And yeah, just come out to our event on May 22nd. We're real excited. We're going to have segments on quality of life in LA, about our services, how open data can help us have better services as well. What the LA City Council's approach to services is, the mayor's individual approach to services, and gosh, what's the one I'm forgetting? And the one I'm forgetting too. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you on May 22nd at 10 a.m.
Thank you so much for that update, Josh. And we have the Motor Avenue Improvement Association. And I believe I saw Lee here earlier. Lee, would you like to give a report? Raise your hand if so. Or press *9, but I do see you there. Lee, would you like to give a report? There you go, okay. All right, you have 2 minutes, Lee.
Okay, great. There we go. I kept trying to raise my hand. Motor Avenue Improvement Association is plowing forward as usual, a little bit more than we can handle, but we're trying to get through it. The Market and Garden Network is expanding. Things are opening up a little bit. Lots of new vendors. So please come by and see some of them. You know, the majority of these folks are local vendors. They're here from Palms. So it's good to have you come and support. Last week we had, we've had the PNC at the market. Hats off to the folks that came and staffed that. The kits that were given out by Jessalyn and Helen and others were just amazing. And people came out of the woodwork to get these kits so their kids could have some arts and crafts. It was just really a wonderful day and a booth, and it was great to see all these folks come out and come to the PNC booth. We're expanding our farm to table program. Our boxes, we're developing a program. We'd like to partner with the PNC on getting 100 to 200 boxes out on one Sunday to needy families in our community. More information to come. If someone would like to work on that, let me know. Our compost program is growing. We also will be having our sound booth Sundays and our sound booth Saturdays starting again. Some meditation, some healing, some safe connections. We're going to be having some work days coming up. So look for those and plantings and things of that. Of course, we're working our developer community, working with the developers, not their consultants, to try and make sure that we have good, solid community-related developments and some community benefits that go along with it. Our homeless community, I'd advocate, folks, this problem keeps growing. PATH has not really done anything, even though they're contracted. SPY has not come back with a report. We can do a lot locally with our homeless committee is awesome. Let's do more of that locally. Last, Overland and under our mural is a mess. I don't know who's the area rep, but let's really try and maybe get some resources to clean that up. And then finally, our restaurant beverage program in the city of Los Angeles has hit a stall. Along with the mayor had it in his budget. I think we as a community need to rise up and help our restaurants and advocate that get back off the ground, as well as some, so this is really a budget advocate thing, as well as expanding Al Fresco, People Streets, Vision Zero, Safe Routes to Schools. They only have 4 people working on all these programs. They need more money and we should advocate for it. Thanks a lot, folks.
Thanks so much for that update, Lee. And yes, I also shout out and kudos to our team who provided our kits to our children in our community. We have 3 announcements for this evening. We have our election important dates coming up. So folks can currently request a ballot. You can request a ballot through June 1st. So please, if you haven't already requested your ballot, make sure to do so. Make sure your neighbors and folks in your community also know the ballot will not just come to you. So if you want to participate in the election and elect the next board for the Palms Neighborhood Council, you need to request your ballot. You can do so at the city clerk's website, or you can visit the Palms NC website, and there's a lot of directions there. Click on the elections page and you'll see very clearly how to participate. Ballots will be sent out starting on May 10th. And so if you requested a ballot already and are wondering where it is, you probably will see in the next couple of weeks or days after May 10th. We had a candidate forum. No, we had a candidate forum on Tuesday. The one for May 26th is canceled. That's correct. Okay, yes. And then the election date is June 8th. And so you need to make sure to send in your ballot or drop it in the drop box by June 8th. So those are the announcements there. And there's one announcement on we have a survey that's available. The city is looking for input on an unarmed crisis response from the city administrator. It's a really important survey. So it is on the agenda. We would love for folks in the Palms community to participate, board members as well. And we ask that folks participate. The survey will be open until this Sunday, May 9th. And Josh, do you have a question or a comment there?
Yeah, I just want to add a comment. This survey has to do with a CIS that we passed a couple months ago, having to deal with getting 911 intervention for nonviolent stuff, for mental health and those sorts of things. That's what this survey is about. So just to make that clear, since we had voted on the underlying issue before. Thank you.
Appreciate you bringing in that context. All right, we're going to move on to general public comment. And so general public comment is for folks who want to speak on anything that's not on our agenda for this evening. We are going to give folks 1 minute this evening, just in the interest of time. And so please raise your hand if you would like to make a comment on anything that's not on our agenda for this evening.
I show 1 public comment so far.
Thanks, Elliot.
Natasha, when you're ready, go ahead and unmute and speak.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi. So I would like to comment on a recent council file, file number 171183S1. And this was proposed by Koretz to increase the speed limits on Overland Avenue between Pico and Washington Boulevards, which pretty much runs the length of our community. And he is proposing the speed limits be raised up to or raised to 40 miles per hour on Overland Avenue. And I just want to say that I am not in support of this, considering that stretch is problematic for speeding and Vision Zero. And I would like to have the board possibly address this, or if Rob wants to give comment on it, because I think because this is a major thoroughfare in our community, we need to get involved in this.
Thank you so much. We can't respond during public comment right at this time, but folks, you can refer this to a committee for discussion, or ask that it be put on the board agenda for next month.
I show one other public comment. Kalani, when you're ready, please speak.
Hello, everyone. A few things. I am 100% vaxxed. I've cleared my 2 weeks after a second shot, and I urge everyone to please get vaxxed. I also urge everyone to call your congresspeople and senators urging support on Biden's infrastructure bill, the George Floyd Policing Act, the Voting Rights Act, and the LGBTQIA support, because religious groups in 30-something states are trying to pass religious liberty bills that would allow those states to deny LGBTQIA employment, housing, healthcare, and schooling based on religious liberties. And that is grossly unfair. I urge you, especially those of you who are from red states, call your red state senators and congresspeople to urge them to oppose these drastic draconian measures. And I am also, last but not least, it is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I urge you to get to know a little bit about my culture, because I am both Asian and a Pacific Islander. So this is a good time, especially with all the anti-Asian hate crimes that have occurred in the last month. And we need to polish our mural. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kalani. Just before we allow the next person to speak, I just wanted to highlight something that Kalani shared. There's an event tomorrow on Thursday at 4 p.m. Put on by the City of Los Angeles. It's Asian Pacific American Heritage Month opening ceremony. Folks can find that on our Facebook page if you'd like to participate and to celebrate in that. And then, yes, then we can go on to the next public comment. Thank you, Elliot.
Yes, so I show Lee, you have your hand raised. Go ahead and talk when you're ready. Lee, can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me
There we
now?
go.
Hey, I feel like a Verizon commercial. Yes, I'm just stating that the speaker, 2 speakers ago, she is right. I don't know how it fell off my list, but thank God she mentioned it. This is a critical issue that the Neighborhood Council needs to take up yesterday regarding the speed limit on Overland. So I don't want to wait for, I don't want anybody to wait for any emails. We should jump on this along with Bonin's office, and let's make sure this doesn't happen. Safe streets are important. And Overland, we have seen deaths on Overland and Rose. This is ridiculous that he would raise the speed limit. Thank you, folks. Let's jump on this. This is good work.
Thank you so much, Lee. Yes, our transportation committee can take that up. I suggest that the committee take that up. I hope that you do. Is there any more public comment?
I do not show any other raised hands.
All right. Then we are going to move to the next item on the agenda, which is our consent agenda. So we have 3 items on the consent agenda this evening. Just for folks' awareness, the items on the consent agenda are things that are non-controversial. So our board president put these items together so we could pass them as a board as a package. However, if anyone on the board feels like these items, we would like to discuss any individual item separately, then we can move the item outside of the block. And so I will entertain a motion to bring this to the floor.
I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Elliot moved, Josh second. Is there any discussion? All right, wonderful. Then we'll move to a vote.
All right. Rendell,
Yes.
Helen, yes. David,
Yes.
I just want to note that I do see that Brendan has joined us. Brendan,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Danya,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jesselyn,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Elliot,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
and I believe Kylie is ineligible. So the motion passes with 12 yes votes, or sorry, 11 yes votes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Helen. We're going to move to board reports and community recognition. In the president's absence, we're going to skip the president's report and move on to the treasurer's report. Oh, I'm sorry. Josh has maybe something to add. Josh.
Yes, just because I see that it says something about the iPad. I have the iPad right now because of the tax stuff I'll talk about later. My question is where am I supposed to bring the iPad back to?
Give it back to me, please. I'll take care of it.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you. Pass it over to David.
Hey, thanks. The quick update on the iPads and services that they've been purchased. So great. And Helen, we have to invoice our high profile tech items. So Helen will be in charge of that. So just make sure that we're checking them out through her and returning them back to her when you're done. So this is May. As you know, June is our last meeting of this council and also this fiscal year. We have budget deadlines that arrive before the end of the fiscal year. We are allowed to spend money via check order until June 1st, and we're allowed to spend the credit card until June 20th. So that means that there are certain items that we can only send checks to, utility boxes, people that give us invoices that don't take credit cards, for example, we need to write checks to. So all the expenses need to be made in the next 4 weeks. Beyond that, we can make some credit card purchases into June. I've done a lot of reconnaissance leading up to this meeting and spoken with most of you and appreciate all of your response. I'm aiming to have basically us closed out for the end of the fiscal year before we get to our next June meeting anyways. So depending on if there are things that, maybe you told me you were going to spend it, we didn't spend all of them, we might have a couple of small amounts that we can spend, but I'm aiming to be able to hit our goal this month. And also because of all the work that you and I did together, hopefully not have a special meeting like we have had for most years. So very excited about that. So the quick update is, as you know, we started off the year with $55,250. We have now spent $33,344, leaving us with about a little under $22,000 remaining. As you know, we're allowed to roll over 10 grand. So our goal is to do that so that we can leave next year's council in good fiscal solvency. If we go under that, that's a decision that we can make. But I just wanted to name it like that's a goal of ours, and we don't need to leave a full 10,000 if we choose not to. We have allocated $8,000 so far. So we're at 22, you put another 8 there, we're really down to 14. The specific number is 13,784 is what we're at. I will say, I anticipate us spending most of the allocation, except for the possibility that we'll have about $1,000 left over in social media advertisements. and $500 left over for election translation. We allocated that money. We are still not sure if the city is going to charge us for it. So that leaves us about $1,500 of plus or minus that we're not sure about. So it's either about 4,000 we need to spend or 5,500 we need to spend. That's kind of our range that we're looking at. Does that make sense? Cool. Next piece of information I want you all to think about is that on today's agenda, we have $8,800 under consideration. So as I mentioned, we want to spend at least 4,000. We can spend up to 5,500 and hit our goal. We can choose to spend more, and we'll just leave next year's council with a little less than 10,000. Right. So those are the considerations that we're thinking about today. I think that is all I have to say. Are there any questions? I see a couple.
Yeah.
Okay.
First off, David, thank you so much for your hard work. I really appreciate you getting us to this point. Thank you for just your budget management, keeping us updated, and working hard with all of the board members and committees to make sure that we can make the best use of our funds. So great job, kudos. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your partnership over the last couple of weeks to get this all nailed down. Okay.
Yeah. I found it a little hard to follow all of that because it wasn't written down in front of me. So, so if we allocate all the money, if we spend all the money that's on the agenda today, do we have $10,000 left or do we not have $10,000 left?
If we allocate all of the money if we spend all the money we've already allocated and we spend all the money that's on the agenda today, we will have about $5,000 left.
Oh, that's not good. Okay. Thank you.
So there are, the biggest items on today's agenda are a $2,800 MPG and almost $5,000 MPG. I told both the people who submitted that it's possible we might want to pare that down a little bit. And that's a decision we can make. The other items, Congress neighborhoods, we can make a decision about. The other items kind of need to happen because we'll talk about them when we get to them, but those are smaller allocations. So I think the real thing that we need to be thinking about today is how much of the MPGs do we want to fund, and given the implication that it'll cut into the 10,000 we roll over. That's what we're thinking about. Josh?
Yeah, I was just going to ask the same thing. And like you said, thank you for mentioning all this, just because I think that it will definitely influence how I'm going to approach looking at some of these things. And if we want to take slightly lower amounts than we would normally jump in with. So thank you a lot for making that.
Yeah, thanks. Elliot?
So I've heard stakeholders ask this question in the past, because this idea of rollover, when we talk about making sure we spend the money and those sorts of things, obviously we're allocated a certain amount of money and it's to our benefit to benefit the community as much as possible to maximize that spending. But what I don't quite understand, and maybe you can explain it both so that I can get it and maybe the stakeholders will also understand, is what is the downside of using this money now? Why do we need to roll it over? It would seem that that's just an option in case we don't do enough work. But if we do all our work, then we would spend the money that was budgeted, because that budget amount would be the right amount for a year for our organization. So why do we need to roll over money at all? Why can't we just spend money now that we think is justified and not worry about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Other people might have different opinions, but my thought on that is a couple of things. First, this year we had a budget shortfall at the beginning of the year. We were given less money, but we were also given a little bit of a gift in that we were allowed to encumber funds from last year. So we ended up encumbering, I think something like 50. I can pull it up real quickly. Almost $15,000. That I have not heard anything about next year's budget, and my assumption is we won't be able to encumber funds again. Slash, we won't really have the extra money to do so anyway, so it won't matter. So the reason why it would make sense for us to do so right now is because we were given not only just rollover money, but the additional gift of encumbering money last year, and next year I assume won't have that. So it's about a little bit of like year-to-year parity is the first reason. The second reason I would think is because we didn't have a community day this year. there is money that can go to next year's Community Day. And the third reason is we just don't know what, as I mentioned, we don't know what next year's budget will look like. If it's 32 again, that is still less than we have gotten in years past, which it's typically for the last several years, it had been $42,000 to start off the year. So it is an opportunity to give them the cushion that we started off our terms with. But that said, you're right. If we are just rolling over 10,000 every single year, we might as well just spend it. So, but yeah, that's I like to think of it as like flex. So if we're rolling it over every year, also it's just like the flexible money that we have at the end of the year, should we choose to need it. That's where I'm at. So I have no issue going into the 10. I just it's just worth considering. Ian K.
Yeah, I just want to say something to Elliot. I just want to say that we're operating with a reduced budget. And because David was so masterful after we got our last reduced budget, we were able to operate as if we didn't have a reduced budget. But we still have a reduced budget. And next year, we're going to want, I assume, to put on a community day. And it would be really helpful if we had that $10,000 on top of the reduced budget to have something to work with for that.
Thanks. Josh, is this a new comment or question?
I mean, I was just going to say from, my tax and MBA thing, having extra flexibility when it comes to cash management is always just a very useful position to have. I mean, that's literally what I advise my clients on all the time, that it just, you never know if you're going to have another emergency or something that's going to happen, and you need that little bit of extra flexibility. So you do have to balance things like Elliot was discussing, but you also have to remember that you want to leave yourself a very good cushion always.
Wonderful, thank you.
I'll just close by saying, regardless of what we do, we are going to have at least $5,000 rolled over. So there's that. It's just we're talking about the difference between those two. So, thanks, everybody.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm going to ask if it's okay that we reorder the agenda. We have something under new business, and we have a guest who's with us today who needs to speak rather soon. So I'm going to move that item to the top of the agenda, and then we'll resume with our reports, if that's okay with folks. And so we're going to move down to item H. No, I'm sorry. Under new business, item B. I'm sorry.
So 8B.
Yes, the last thing on our agenda, last item for discussion. It's a motion to authorize the Palms and Cities to submit a CIS in support of Council File 19-1235 to establish a public bank in the city of Los Angeles. Folks can see the actual language of the CIS in the supplemental. I will also attempt to screen share, and we have Trinity here. Trinity, you can raise your hand if you would like to speak. And I'll let Trinity further introduce this, and then we will take public comment, and then we'll take discussion from the board. Trinity, you'll have 2 minutes.
Great, thank you so much, Randall. Hello, everyone. I'm Trinity Tran. I'm with Public Bank LA, the California Public Banking Alliance, and there is a lot of exciting movement happening in this space. Next Tuesday, on May 11th, a motion will be heard in the Economic and Jobs Development Committee, where committee members will discuss a vote to move forward with the Los Angeles Public Bank, which would be the first city-owned bank in the nation. And just a little bit of background, we formed the California Public Banking Alliance, a statewide coalition of organizers and citizens lobbyists representing 11 cities and counties. And we passed the landmark AB 857 bill, which Governor Newsom signed at the end of 2019, which is just a few months before the pandemic hit. And this bill creates a legal pathway for cities and counties to form in California to form their own public banks. And so now that California created a framework for public banks, cities like LA, San Francisco, San Diego, the East Bay are all moving forward to on the path to form their own city and regional public bank. Just as a super brief summary on what a public bank is, it's a financial institution that's owned by a public entity, a local government like a city or a region. And unlike private commercial banks, the interest and the profit of a public bank, it belongs to the community. So rather than billions of our public funds and our tax revenues getting siphoned out of our communities by out-of-state private banks, a public bank would allow our cities to recapture that interest. The $100 million that we pay in fees to Wall Street, the $1.3 billion debt services, that can be funneled back into our communities to help rebuild our communities, especially uplift marginalized communities, rebuild our infrastructure, invest in green energy. It's about mobilizing our public funds for Los Angeles, and that's why it's supported by the LA County Federation of Labor, UFCW, Unite Here Local. Labor is behind this. We have the support of Chair Karen Price, along with Councilmember Bonin, Rahman, Kevin De Leon, Rodriguez, and it's an important step for Los Angeles to take to be able to finance our future and reinvest in creating sustainable infrastructure and rebuilding our communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much for providing that context and information for us, Trinity. Appreciate you attending our meeting.
Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Would someone like to move this motion to the floor for discussion?
I'll move it.
Thank you, David.
Second,
Second.
Danya.
Thank you, Danya. Second. We'll take public comment on this first. Members of the public, we're just gonna try to be a little more efficient and give folks 30 seconds to ask your question.
I show Kalani has her hand up. Kalani, you can unmute yourself when you're ready. You'll have 30 seconds.
This sounds similar to a credit union, and I belong to 2 credit unions. I have not banked at the big banks for over 30 years, and 2008 is a prime example in how they mismanaged their funds and tanked our economy, and how we had to rescue them is a reason that you should bank at either a credit union or what is being proposed before us tonight. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kalani.
I don't show any other hands.
Thank you, Elliot. Elliot, your hand is up. Would you like to ask your question or comment?
Yeah, and Trinity, if you can answer this, I greatly appreciate it. So my one concern is, I read part of what was provided in the supplementals about North Dakota's bank and its success. Cities like Los Angeles, however, have histories with corruption or financial issues, that sort of thing. And our neighboring cities have had very public corruption issues. And there's also issues in real estate with especially big developers and so forth, but developers in general there's some issues that occur. How will this proposal prevent that kind of corruption from happening 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line?
Absolutely. So how the AB 857 was created through the legislature, a public bank would require multiple levels of oversight. So not only does it have to get approval by the Department of Financial Protection Innovation, the DPFI, it would have to then have oversight from City Council. A board would oversee the public bank, so that would separate it from any political interference from City Council. And then on top of that, you have oversight for the general public, because this is a public bank that is mandated to serve Los Angeles, unlike private commercial banks, where decision-making policies and investments and lending policies are made behind closed doors in private boardrooms by private shareholders. A public bank is mandated to serve the people and serve the public. So it moves oversight into a public arena. What we're doing right now is we're working with the Democracy Collaborative, which is the national think tank, who is actually interviewing stakeholders, organizers, members of social justice groups, environmental groups in Los Angeles, various other stakeholders, including labor, to help inform the city on a democratic design structure for the bank. That is our goal, is to make this as democratically representative as possible.
Just a quick follow-up, Trinity. Can you be more specific about the public oversight aspect? Because a lot of times there are committees and boards that are created for various entities, and they can still have those kinds of problems. And I know that our community and Los Angeles in general is very interested in making sure that these kind of big budget entities are in future, going forward, not going to fall prey to that sort of thing in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our design, what we're proposing as far as the governance design, but that ultimately is going to be worked out in the business plan. So we're at a very early stage in this. The next stage of the LA Public Bank is for city to issue an RFP to hire a consultant to write the business plan. And that in that business plan, it will lay out what the governance structure is going to look like, what sort of lines of businesses, the financial products that this bank is going to offer, the jurisdiction. So that governance plan is going to be written out in that business plan. And our goal is to be part of that process so that we can make sure that the public has input in that. And that's what we're working right now with Current Price's office on, is making sure that there is going to be a public engagement process when that RFP is issued and a consultant is going to proceed with writing that business plan.
Thank you. Kay, you have a question.
Yes, I do. Okay, so actually, this is something I've thought about before it was on the agenda. And I think it's really, really a complicated issue. It sounds simple, but I don't think it is. And I think we could all benefit from, you know, we're hearing somebody talk to us who supports it. We have literature in front of us in support of it. But I think it would also be helpful to have, for us to have somebody come and speak to us about the other side and have some literature from the other side, because it is a complex issue. And I can't be prepared to vote for it yet, in spite of the fact that I've been thinking about it for a very long time, because I just find it complicated and I don't think we're getting a balanced view.
So if I can respond really quickly, this is a multi-year process. So the city is not going to move to create a bank tomorrow or the next day. It has to, there's capitalization for the bank. We have to figure out how the bank is going to be capitalized. So there are so many different parts of this. This takes the city towards exploring the possibilities for a public bank, and the business plan is going to have to be approved by the city council to make sure it's economically viable, to make sure that it makes sense fiscally for the city. That's why there is a business plan there, because if a city can't just create a public bank, it has to get approval from the Department of DPFI and then the FDIC. There's various levels of approvals before a city can even create a public bank. So this is years down the road. This is just for Los Angeles to take the step to explore to make sure that this is economically viable.
That's great. Then that's great. Then that gives us time to educate ourselves about both sides of the issue.
Thanks, Trinity, and thanks, Kay. One more question or comment, Josh, and then David.
Yeah, first I wanted to thank you for coming out today to come talk to us about this very important issue. I think that this is a really critical issue for racial and social justice, for one, and for supporting small business. I don't know if everybody had a chance to read through this, but the bank would also offer merchant services, which are incredibly pricey for companies to have to deal with. I do taxes, and you know, I have clients that just have insane bills from just all of the financial compliance that they have to deal with. And any sort of system that makes it easier is better. I'm half Costa Rican, and Costa Rica has a worker-owned bank that, you know, thrives with a lot of the economic and environmental policies they have, which this follows as well. I mean, this is a very sensible CIS.
Thanks, Josh. And David.
Yeah, I just want to speak out in support. I think a public bank would be amazing. And I know that we've been making efforts at the local and state level to do this for a long time. And I would love to have our name behind it. And just say that to her last point, we have a lot of steps before we actually implement this. And we should be coming out in support of studying this, right? That's like a basic first step. And then we can make decisions about implementation later on. So I'm a big fan of this. Thanks.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands.
Has this moved yet or no?
No.
It has moved. So then I do want to make I would like to potentially make an amendment to the sample CIS.
Yeah, what are you proposing?
So as we discussed, we aren't sure that the bank is a good idea or not yet, but we also seem to all think it's worth discussing. So I would change from the word advises to say advises through its Economic and Jobs Development Committee, the city office support consideration of establishing a municipal bank in Los Angeles and provide ample time for public input to determine if such a bank is a good fit for Los Angeles.
All right, so it seems like that's a move to amend.
That is correct. I'm moving to amend.
Yeah, there a second.
Elliot, could you read that language one more time? I'm sorry. I'm having
I
technical
second.
and I just had to switch computers. And thanks.
No problem.
I just want to make sure I have the language.
So, the change would be after support, where it says support the establishment, it would say consider supporting the establishment. And then you would add, after MBLA, ample time for public input to determine if such a bank is a good fit for Los Angeles.
All right, and then we'll open up for discussion on that amendment. Seeing none, we'll move it to a vote. Oh, okay.
Kay has her physical hand raised and Josh just
Yeah.
digitally raised.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay.
Yeah, I like those. I would like to maybe even amend the amendment, because as I look at the CIS, there's lots of the bank would do this, the bank, will do this, and I would feel more comfortable if all those were changed to coulds instead of woulds and wills, because that would be the point of having a study.
I have no objection to that friendly amendment.
Thank you, Elliot, and thank you, Kay. And Josh, did you have your hand up? You put it down. No, I'm sorry. There's a hand up now. Josh, did you have your hand up? I'm sorry.
I've changed my mind multiple times if I was saying something. Thank you.
Thank you. And David?
I just want to say I won't be supporting the amendment. I realized I talked about the studying beforehand, but I support a public bank. I want us to be aggressive. We are a progressive neighborhood, and I would like for us to be more aggressive. So I'm going to vote no on the motion, on the amendment, and then yes on the motion.
Yeah. One last comment, and then we're going to actually move this to a vote. The amendment to a vote. Hands down. Jesselyn.
Just can you read it one more time, the amendment? Sorry, I just want to get the language, make sure I understand the language, please. Thank you.
So let me read what I have, and Elliot, you tell me if I got this right. The motion is to change from advises on to say consider supporting the establishment. And then after where it says MBLA, we're also adding ample time for public input to determine if such a bank is a good fit for Los Angeles. And we are also changing all of the wills to coulds throughout the CIS.
And just so that we're clear, Helen, it is, so basically it's after the city's Office of Finance to support considering the establishment, I guess is that the consider is like near establishment, just so that we're clear. It's not after advises.
Oh, okay. Sorry, say that one more time then.
So through its economic judgment of the committee, the city's Office of Finance considers supporting the establishment of. I think that's what I meant.
Okay, so after Office of Finance is where that
Yeah,
language comes.
that is, yeah.
Got it.
Otherwise, everything you said is what I would propose for the motion.
Awesome. Did you catch that? Okay, wonderful. So we're actually going to vote on the amendment that Helen and Elliot just discussed. And so Helen, would you mind doing a roll call vote?
Sure. Rendell.
No.
Helen. Oh God. Come on, don't tell me this computer's freezing too. Okay. So I've got two computers going, you guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Helen, yes. David.
No.
Brendan.
No.
Kay.
Yes.
Danya.
No.
Scott.
Yes.
Jesselyn.
Sorry, I just got confused. So yes means I say yes to Elliot's amendments.
That's what we're voting on right now.
Yeah.
Then I say yes.
Josh.
No.
Oh, sorry. And I skipped Elliot. Sorry about that.
You also skipped Kristen, actually.
Oh my goodness. bear with me here, you guys. I'm sorry. This
Take
doesn't.
your time. It's okay.
She was
It's okay.
excited to hear my vote.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading off one screen and taking minutes on another screen now. So this is not how this usually goes. Just problems with technology today. Okay, so the last vote I recorded was Jesselyn, which was a yes vote. Kristen,
No.
all right, now Elliot.
Yes. And just because you're having technical issues, everybody got a chance to vote. And if you didn't, raise your hand.
Are we not calling on Kylie to vote?
Yeah, Kylie can vote on this, I believe.
I don't believe Kylie has completed her training yet. Kylie, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I haven't.
Okay. So she's still ineligible to vote on this one.
Thanks
Josh,
for that update.
I'm still a no. I'm still a no, even at this second time for voting. Thanks.
No, thank you. Thank you for voting the same way as the first time. I just did not correctly catch it. So we have 5 yes votes. And 6 no votes. So that motion does not pass.
All right, so we are now going to, we'll do a roll call vote for the original motion. I'll read it one more time just so we're all clear. So to approve the CIS as it's currently written, in support of Council File 19-1235 to establish a public bank in the city of Los Angeles. All right, Helen.
All right. Randall.
Yes.
Helen. Yes. David.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
Kay.
No.
Danya.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jesselyn.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Elliot.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
All right, so that motion passes with, I will tell you in 1 second. Sorry. With 10 yes votes. Okay. Oh, Randall, you are muted.
Has to happen once. All right. So we're going to go back to item 6 on our agenda. We're at board reports and community recognition. I'm going to skip my report. I don't have a report right now at this time, so we're going to move on to the next report. Secretary, I'm going to ask that for folks who are reporting. It's 8:30. We have quite a few items to discuss, and there were some funding items that I like to get to. I know that many items on this agenda I think are kind of time sensitive, and so I want to both kind of balance that with our need to get out of here before 11 o'clock, right? So if folks can just be thoughtful about your time, thoughtful about your questions, thoughtful about your comments. Please don't repeat things if someone already said it, or if you kind of already know where you're going. Please do add to the conversation, though. I'm not saying don't speak. We want your discussion. I want your thoughts. I want your feedback and your questions. Just be thoughtful about time, please. All right, Secretary's report. Helen, would you like to make a report?
Sorry, I was muted. No report at this time.
All right, thank you. And our community-based org rep, Brendan?
Nothing to report at this time.
Thank you, Brendan. And our residential rep, Kay.
Sorry. Okay, so yes, I have nothing to report.
All right, thank you so much. And our residential, our residential rep for Area B. I see there's a funding motion here, so I'll pass it over to Danya.
Okay, real quick, we need some supplies for our community when we are at the farmer's market. I am proposing that we buy a whiteboard and whiteboard markers and cleaning supplies for eco-friendly signs when we are at public events. And also the clear shipping tape is something we use when we're posting signs throughout the community. We need a lot of it because we use a lot of it. What do I need to do to be more technical? Do I need to read that?
No, I think the items are listed here. Thank you so much for giving us context around the use for these items. I will ask if there's someone who would like to bring this to the floor for discussion.
I'll make the motion, David.
Thank you, David. A second.
Jesselyn seconds.
Thank you, Jesselyn. We'll go to public comment first. Right, and seeing none, we'll go to board comments and questions. Elliot.
One really quick question, Danya. This the standing dry erase board, does it also have a lip or of some kind where we can put a cardboard thing if we do have a sign?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good question.
That was a good question.
I'm bored with the lip. All right, we're going to go ahead and move this to a vote.
All right, and my computer seems to be working now.
Point of order, point of order. Don't we
Yes,
need
sorry.
public comment?
We did
There was a request for public comment.
Yeah, there
Okay,
was.
I didn't hear it, sorry.
Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate that, Kay.
All right, moving to a vote. Rendell,
Yes.
Helen, yes. David,
Yes.
Yay.
Brendan,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Danya,
Yes, of course.
Scott,
Yes.
Jesselyn,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Elliot,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
So the motion passes unanimously. And Danya, if you need any help with ordering that stuff or putting it into the storage unit, let me know.
The storage unit. Thank you, Kay. I'm sorry. Thank you, Helen, and thank you. I'm sorry, who just said that? That was Danya. Thank you. We're going to move on to residential rep area C. Scott.
Nothing to report at this time.
Thanks, Scott. And residential rep area D. Jesselyn.
Yes, I do have one quick report. I have been trying to work with Palms Elementary as they're in my area for the entire 2 years I've been in this office, even before I ran. I reached out to them and finally they called on our board to help out because their kiddos don't have water to drink during the day. They turn the water fountains off in school and they called on us to help buy water bottles for the kiddos. And this amazing board came together last minute to get those kiddos some water bottles because they just went back to school. So I want to say thank you to everybody for that. And we also bought water bottles for Charnock Elementary as well. So 2 elementary schools in the neighborhood have water bottles thanks to you all. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that update. I almost forgot that we had that special meeting and so many things have been happening. So so that's just notice for folks. We did have a special meeting earlier. Sorry, not earlier. We had a special meeting in April to discuss funding for that. So usually for our special meetings, the notice that we give for those is 24 hours. So it might have happened quickly before you had a chance. So thank you for that update, Jesselyn, making sure everyone knew about that. Also work the board did to support our community. Residential rep area E, Kristen. I'm seeing a funding motion.
Yes, first I just wanted to mention there is a new development planned for Area E at the corner of Regent and Dunn. The developer is set to give a presentation at the Plum Committee meeting on the 12th at 7 p.m. So, advocate people come and hear what they have to say and ask questions. And then I just want to turn it over to Carol is here from Westside Pacific Villages. She can give a quick update on some of the work that has already been done and, just help answer questions regarding the NPG.
Wonderful. We'll let Carol introduce the NPG and then we'll open up for discussion and public comment. Carol, can you give us a 30-second intro?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to request funding. This is a second request, And since the last time I attended your meeting and we received funding, we did add some folks from the Palms area. I was given a list of about 11 people to contact, which we did reach out to. Not all of them wanted the services that we provided. I think there were maybe about 3 to 5 of them that did, but we have also added some other clients and volunteers through a merger with the West Side Friends Group, who is no longer operating as they did when the pandemic started. So, so this is some additional funding that we are requesting that offsets what was previously requested.
Thank you so much for that additional context and information, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Is there anyone, would someone like to move this to the floor for discussion?
Josh will move it.
Josh will move it. Thank you, Josh. Is there a second?
Second by David.
David will second. Thank you, David. We'll go to public comment first, and then we'll come back to the board for discussion.
I show Kalani has raised her hand for comment. Kalani, you may begin when ready. How long will they have, Randall?
30 seconds, please.
Thank you.
Aloha, I'm concerned about where this money is going. How many Palms people? Only 11 were reached out to. How many were actually helped? And this organization isn't even anywhere near our zip code. I'm not familiar with where 90045 is. And I'm just concerned that word's out that if you need money, come to Palms. Or I also am concerned that we have another Rachel incident where organizations affiliated with ex-members or soon to be ex-members are hitting us up for money. Thank you
so much, Kalani. Carol, would you like to respond to that question?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Okay, so our office is based in Westchester. However, it is just an office that we operate out of. We have volunteers and seniors throughout the west side of Los Angeles, including Mar Vista, Palms, Culver City. We also go a little bit south into El Segundo. So don't let our operating office in any way mislead you to think that we don't provide services outside of that area. I do want to assure the board and the residents of the Palms neighborhood that any funding we receive will go to the clients and residents in the Palms Neighborhood Council footprint. And at this point, per the grant application, we are servicing 6 clients and 8 volunteers in the area. So that is what this is taking into account, with the hopes of growing to more than closer to 15 clients to support.
Wonderful. Thank you for that response, Carol.
I show Lee has his hand up. Lee, when you're ready, you'll have 30 seconds.
Hello. Can you hear me? I just wanted to make sure that, thank you for the nods of heads. You know, this, or the former group, I'm a little confused about the merger thing, but has done some amazing work. And Kristen has, and you know, and all these folks have really reached out. I am a little worried about the budget and maybe this full amount, you know, because you have some other big items coming up. And the numbers of people that we have right now, it might be better pushed off to the next, you know, to the next meeting, but with a new board. But it's still a phenomenal organization that's meeting the needs of Palms residents.
Thank you so much, Lee.
I show no further public comment.
Thank you. And members of the board, comments and questions.
I just want to acknowledge, Kalani, you've raised your hand, but you already had an opportunity for public comment. So I think, Randall, you make the choice.
Yes, we're gonna go ahead and just allow folks one comment at this time from the public. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm confused about, I guess, where the money we voted for last time went and where this money is planned to go. The comment about only reaching out to 11 people is quite concerning to me.
Okay,
Yes, Carol,
Sure. I reached out to 11 people based on a spreadsheet that I received from this neighborhood council. But we have certainly tried to reach beyond just those 11 people. I just wanted to share that was done. And of those 11, we did anticipate that most, if not all, would be interested in our program, but that was not the case. So I wanted to share that. The last grant request focused more on the actual care packages that are provided to seniors every Friday and the expenses related to that. This one focuses more on the actual staffing expenses required to coordinate things like the errands that we run. We pick up and deliver things to clients. We actually have been scheduling vaccines and driving people to get the COVID-19 vaccine if they request that. And there are other things that are coordinated. The West Side Friends group, which was mentioned in the other public comment, was a group that started specifically because of the pandemic, but they are not a formalized nonprofit organization like we are, and we have a 10-year history of basically doing exactly what the West Side Friends group had already been doing. So as you can imagine, there's expenses related to that. And again, I assure you that this budget is taking into consideration supporting those that are just in the Palms Neighborhood Council footprint.
Thank you. Jesselyn.
I would like to point out that I talked to Carol previously when all this first started, and they used to charge seniors, I believe, if that's right, for this. And now, because of the
That is
pandemic,
correct.
they don't charge seniors. So it's a free service they provide to the community. I think it's a wonderful service. It's awesome. I do support financing and supporting it, but I think we should talk about maybe a different amount because our budget is so limited with the end of the fiscal year right now.
Thanks, Jesselyn. Elliot.
So I'm kind of looking through the little spreadsheet here, and I didn't write down the number, but I think you said like 6 volunteers and 7 or 8 clients. And according to this, it looks like for 10 weeks of service, it's $190 for the clients, $150 for the volunteers. And so if I'm doing my math right, and there's a little bit of stuff missing, but that for our share of these folks, if those are people that are working in Palms, that works out to between $2,000 and $2,800. So can you confirm that math? Am I doing that right?
Yeah. So what I anticipated was and Jocelyn is correct. We are running this program for free. We plan to extend it through the end of April, which is what the additional 10 weeks is for. And so what I am projecting is that we hope to actually increase the number of Palms residents to 15, and that is a staff expense for supporting 15 clients. And it's basically an hour of time for 10 weeks at an hourly rate of $19 and $15. And that's those are 2 staff people. So it's really covering less than 50% of their expenses for the Palms people. Does that
Thank
make
you.
sense?
Yeah.
But just so that we're clear, that's your projection. The
Correct.
number that I quoted would cover the current people that we know for sure you're helping.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I see 2 other hands. I just want to make sure that folks are asking new questions and keep it super brief, please. Josh.
Yeah, so I'm also looking at that same spreadsheet, and I'm kind of confused why the money is paying for 10 weeks of staffing on a coordinator and other staff, 10 weeks of expenses and other supplies, but only 5 weeks of weekly care packages. If the goal is giving out the care packages, that kind of is confusing me.
No, because sometimes we don't do food every week. So sometimes it's food, sometimes it's other things. So the 5 + 5 = 10.
Okay. Yeah, and then as just one final comment, I'd be more comfortable supporting this if the amount was a little bit lower.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, I just have one more question, which is that, so if this is covering 10 weeks, then do we expect to see you again in 10 more weeks asking for another more or less $3,000?
No.
Okay, I
We
just-
are appreciative of everything you have done. I am appreciative of the opportunity to provide a second grant. And I don't intend to, and I have not done with other neighborhood councils, to go back on a ongoing regular basis, unless it was some brand new type of program or something that was different from what's already been described in this application.
Thank you. And David?
Yeah, just a little bit of context for folks. Lake came to us last time with $1,000 application, which was lower than most of the other MPGs we had considered. People at this meeting said at the time, I kind of wish the number was higher. They were, Kristen graciously was like, this is their first time coming. This is the number that they were like conservatively coming to us with. And so when we had extra money this year, or at the end of this year, and I was talking to all of you, I talked to Kristen a little bit about this, and we suggested that they might want to ask us for a little bit more. So I'm not expecting, they've been so wonderful. I'm not expecting this to be like a just keep coming back. I think this is a little bit more of like a, we've been partnering, and this is a little bit of an invitation for them to meet our ask from a couple of weeks ago. I also want to just say that we're looking at 2,800 for this. And as I had mentioned, we'll be cutting into, if we approve everything, we'll be cutting into our 10K rollover. The other NPG is for $5,000. And so if we cut this a significant amount and cut that a significant amount, we'll actually more than cover our expenses. If we cut this, I just might want, if we want to lower this, I would recommend maybe like a proportional amount that we lower it and not just like a significant amount. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. That was very helpful, David. Appreciate that. Because I did not fully recall that board meeting. So I appreciate you bringing those details to light for us.
Me too. Thank you.
Yes. All right. We're gonna go to move this to a vote. I'm sorry, we're not going to vote. We are going to discuss an amount. Would someone like to propose an amendment to the current funding motion?
Jesselyn has her hand up.
Yes,
I don't know,
Jesselyn.
I'm feeling 2,000. I feel like that's still a good amount.
Wonderful. Is there a second for 2,000? Kristen seconds. We'll go ahead and vote on that.
All right, so voting on a amendment to $2,000. All right.
Wait, sorry, really quickly, are we voting on the amendment or the motion?
We're
voting on the amendment.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the motion that Jesselyn made was to amend the original motion to a new amount, which is $2,000 instead of $2,800.
Point of order, just so I can make sure I'm real clear. A yes vote means 2,000. A no vote means keep it at 2,800.
Correct.
A yes vote means 2,000. A no vote could mean some other amount. Undetermined.
That's correct. Right. So so we would go back to the original motion, and if someone wants to propose a different amendment, then we can consider that.
Do we need to make this vote first before we talk about different amounts? Or
No, it's the other way around, I think.
An amount. Oh, go ahead, Elliot.
I mean, David probably actually knows better, but I believe if we vote on the current amount, then we're done. So we need to decide the amount first, and then we vote on that. So that's why the amendment has to occur first, I believe.
Right, so there's an amendment, and so the amendment now has the floor, basically, and we vote on the amendment. If the amendment passes, there can be another amendment. If it fails, there can also be another amendment, but we have to vote on the amendment because it was made.
Wonderful. Let's go ahead and do that now.
All right, so we are voting on the amendment to $2,000. Going down the list. Randall.
Yes.
Helen. Yes. David.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
Kay.
No.
Danya.
No.
Scott.
No.
Jesselyn.
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Elliot,
No.
Josh.
Yes.
So that motion, let me just double check here. We have 7 yes votes. I speak. So we have 7 yes votes and 4 no votes, so the motion passes.
All right, wonderful. So now,
So just a point of order, because of how we discussed all the points of order before,
yeah,
there cannot be another change to the amount as an amendment, because that
Thanks
would
for
be
that clarity.
denying the vote. So the amount is now set.
I don't believe that that's true. I think that if we had another vote, we could supersede our own vote. There's no reason.
No, because Josh, as I've read
actually,
yes,
sorry.
go ahead, Randall.
I just want to make sure only one person's talking at a time. So go ahead.
Well, so I believe, because here's the thing with that, Josh. We could then vote on a different amount than the people with the 2,000 could then vote on their amount, and we could go back and forth for hours and hours. Once a vote is passed, you can't sort of undo that. It is a passed vote.
So you know what? Freddie's here, and so
that's
I'll
a good
allow
point.
Freddie to. I'll allow Freddie to chime in. Freddie, if you want to provide any clarity around Josh's question.
Okay. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, it can get confusing when voting on amendments on the amendments, especially when it comes to finances. I'm right now trying to thumb through the Robert's Rules of Order to see whether there can be any amendments to an amendments once there's a financial matter on there, but I can't find anything that I have flagged previously.
Okay.
When you have an amendment, yeah, David.
I was just going to ask if I can call the question, the
Yes,
motion.
you can. Yes. Do we need a second to call the question?
I
Is there a
second.
second? All right, Jesselyn, thank you. And thank you everyone for that information and for helping us make sure we're doing things correctly and we understand. I'll go ahead and read the motion that we're going to vote on now. So to approve an MPG for $2,000 for Westside Pacific Villages. All right, Helen.
1 second. I am just about there, just making sure we've got all of that tracked here and the minutes. Okay. All right. So we are voting on the motion with the $2,000 amount.
Yes.
Randall.
Yes.
Helen. Yes. David.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
Kay.
Yes.
Danya.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jesselyn.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Elliot.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
All right. So that motion passes unanimously.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carol, for your time this evening and for your service to the Falmouth community.
Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Freddie, sorry to cut you off. Just wanted to say that.
All right, and we're going to move on to our business rep, number 1, Elliot.
So I'll defer to the business and beautification report.
Thank you, appreciate that. And our rep number 2, Josh.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. So still working on the food district proposal and speaking with both Rob and Brad from CD5 in the mayor's office. They want me to get a soft commit list of all of the food businesses that are interested and give it to them. So I'm working on that right now. Additionally, I've been working with our homelessness committee to go file taxes for our local homeless so that they can get their $3,200 of stimulus funds. And am working with 3 different council districts to try to make that be a larger citywide project. And I may be reaching out to Jesselyn because I'm supposed to also reach out to the county to help us out for the same thing. And I have no idea who to talk to over there. And she may have some idea of who to talk to over there. So there we go. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that report, Josh. And thanks for your work with our unhoused neighbors and taxes. Super important. The tax filing date was extended through to May. I don't
May
know what the date
17th.
is. Thank you.
It's May 17th. Yeah,
So-
we got
so folks, please remember to follow the
$20,000 today for some people, from doing 6 people. And by the way, if anybody needs help with their taxes, please feel free to reach out. I have a nonprofit, happy to help anybody who needs some help. And don't forget, you can also always file late if you miss the deadline. There's a penalty, but it's like schoolwork.
Josh.
Just if you miss the date, you can keep doing it. Okay.
Appreciate it. And thanks for your hard work along with, I know Pamela was working on that and probably some other folks as well. And so I saw the flyers go up in the community. I think that's a great service. Move on to our youth rep. Kylie let me know she didn't have a report at this time. So we're going to go on to our community reports and community recognition. We'll start with our ad hoc elections committee. And I'm going to ask, I'll give this committee some more time because it's super important for other committees. I'm going to ask that they speak on a more limited time scale. So our ad hoc elections committee, Jeremiah, you're going to have a minute.
Okay, I will try to make it fast. First of all, can you hear me? Make sure that audio works.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So we had a very, very busy April. I want to definitely thank Maria and Tina for all the hard work they've done. We had 3 events. We had 2 forums and a training event. We've also distributed, with the help of some of the board members, over 150 of the new signs. I still have 10 in my trunk, but I will get those done as soon as possible. If you have any allocations, just let me know. We also got the video out. That is all done and out. We will be boosting that throughout the month of May. If you see that, please reshare that if you can. Let's see. Just to note, if you are a board member and in an agendized meeting, do not mention that you're running if it's not part of the agendized content. So to kind of limit what you and kind of overlap for that. And finally, remember that June 1st is the last day to request a ballot. If you do not request a ballot by June 1st, you do not vote. There is no provision to vote on June 8th in person. And the drop-off location is Palms Rancho Park Library. It starts June 5th. Also, just in terms of elections, because it wasn't mentioned at all, or I missed the beginning, May 18th is the special election for our assembly member. So everything elections.
Yeah, thank you so much. That wasn't mentioned. That's super important. Thank you so much for your hard work, along with Maria and Tina. I feel like you are the most powerful, strongest committee for elections that probably exists. You've done phenomenal work. Post Confined, the video that Jeremiah was referencing, it's pinned to our profile on Facebook, pinned to our profile on Twitter. You can find our social media on the webpage as well. But excellent work. We really are trying to make sure that folks know about this election and the outreach and all the organization. And thank you also to board members and volunteers who've also helped with signs and all the different pieces. I think there's been a great effort.
I have one more thing to note. If you missed the forums or missed the training, those are also all recorded and available on YouTube, Facebook, and on our Palms NC elections and Palms NC/elections webpage. I think I got everything.
Yes. Wonderful.
We have no motions, so we're good.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. I see that there's a couple of board members that have questions, or one at least. Elliot?
Just really quick, I wanted to let everybody know that we got permission from the librarian at the Palms Rancho Park Library to put up our flags, so we'll be processing that. And Jeremiah, if there are any other virtual events that we're doing, can I ask that you email the group email for Palms NC so that we're aware of it? I missed those and I didn't realize that I had. That's on me, but if you can message us, that would certainly be helpful.
Will do. One final, sorry, is we'll be having a lessons learned about all the election stuff, and we will put it into a booklet. Freddie even noted we were the first, or at least he thinks the first NC to do forums with Facebook Live. And if anyone wants, or maybe we can convey some of the lessons we've learned about Zoom and Facebook Live and how that works, we are happy to share all of that. And with that, I wraps up my report.
Yeah, wonderful. Kudos. Lots of firsts. I think we're also the first NC on TikTok. So kudos to our committee. Y'all are killing it. Amazing work. We'll move on to our Venice Boulevard Improvement Committee. I'm only give 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
30
That's
seconds.
impossible. I'm okay. So I have something that was on the February agenda. It was on the March agenda, or it's on the March agenda, the April agenda. I can't do it in 30 seconds.
Can you do it in a minute?
Probably not.
We only have a minute. I can only get that much time for today. Is it a discussion, or is it a motion, or what is it?
Well, it's to look at the questionnaire that we're putting together to go to residents.
Point of order.
about-
Point of order. This sounds like committee work.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I just
It
want to
is
let her
not.
finish. Hold on. I'm speaking. I want to make sure that I can understand what Kay was saying before the point of order, because she wasn't finished speaking, Josh.
It's to go over the work that the committee did to come up with a questionnaire for people, for stakeholders about what's going on Venice Boulevard. And we wanted to get input from the board before we started moving forward with it.
Yes, given that context, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to allow for 2 minutes here. Folks, board members, I invite you to click on the survey here. It's 7 questions. If you are able to review the questions now or review them before the meeting, that'd be great. And let's allow for 2 minutes. Okay, you want to go ahead and intro, and then we can allow for some discussion.
Okay, so I think I've already introduced it. So,
okay, great.
So anyway, the first question got kind of cut off there, but so the first one is, what is your living situation in Palms? Do you rent, do you own, or you don't live in Palms? And the purpose of this question is so that we can get some demographic information about some of the answers that we get. And you know, this is similar to something Mar Vista did, and I have to say that it was interesting how aligned the renters and the owners were. The next question is, how do you primarily access businesses on Venice Boulevard between Sepulveda and Exposition? Do you take a car? Do you walk? Do you bicycle? Do you take a scooter, public transportation? Number 4 is, do you think there's adequate parking for businesses along Venice Boulevard? Yes, no, don't know. What would you like to see for Venice Boulevard's islands? I call them islands. I need to call them medians between Sepulveda Boulevard and Exposition. So do you want cement? Do you want paving bricks? Do you want drought tolerant plants, fruit and vegetable plants, art installations? What are your safety concerns for Venice Boulevard? Is it safe now? It needs more lighting. Does it need more lighting at night? Does it need to have a slower speed limit? Does it need to have more crosswalks? And what would increase the likelihood that you would take the Venice Boulevard, not drive? Well, what would increase the likelihood you would take public transportation to Venice Boulevard, I should say, and not drive to it? And so we had 3 options here: shaded bus shelters, more frequent buses, and protected bike lanes. We also intended the survey to have a spot where you can, you know, just like speak in words, you know, tell us what's on your mind. But that's what we have, and we're looking for input.
All right, wonderful. So I'm going to suggest, just in the interest of time, that if folks have input, could you email that feedback to Kay? Will that work?
That's fine.
Okay, wonderful.
That's fine, but nobody's going to read it if I don't go through it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I appreciate you asking, you know, letting us know that this needed more time. I think this is super important, so thanks for that. And there's a public comment or question, so I'm going to allow for that. Kalani first. I'm going to allow you 10 seconds, and then I'll switch over to Helen, and then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
Kalani, when you're ready.
I was just involved. I wasn't partially involved in this, and I don't know why this is just coming to me now, but can we add a question? Do you use Venice Boulevard to commute? If so, where? To the beach, downtown LA, work, or play?
Thank you,
Kalani, can you email that to me?
Oh, that was a good question, wasn't it? Can't believe it, just thought of it. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And also members of the public are invited to give feedback as well. So if you would like to provide any feedback or additional questions for the questionnaire, please email Kay Hartman at palmsnc.la. Thank you, Kay. And we'll go on to the next committee.
Helen's hand is up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Helen. Sorry, I'm sorry.
All right.
Oh, you muted yourself and unmuted. There.
Yes, there we go. Sorry, my screen jumped. Super quick. I just wanted to say, so I did already send some feedback to Kay, but I think it's super important that everybody on the board looks at this because some of the previous surveys that we've done have really gotten a lot of attention from the public because of how some of the questions were worded. And so I really encourage you guys to give feedback now so we can avoid some of those potential minefields and pitfalls of the past. Because once this thing goes out there, it's out there for everybody to see. And we just want to make sure that it represents all of us accurately. So please, please, please take a look at it.
Thank you. Great nudge there, Helen.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move on to the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Is someone, okay. Thank you for giving that report.
Christopher's not here, so
Okay.
I'm the only one on the committee who's here. And so we did pass a motion. It somehow didn't get agendized. I didn't, do the report, but that council file has already been voted on. So I say nothing.
All right. Thank you. And sorry about that agenda mishap.
Okay.
But we'll,
Stuff
all right.
happened.
Josh, your hand is up. Yes.
Yes, I heard something earlier during public comment about a council file that has to do with the speed of Overland. I would like to see that be taken up in the Transportation Committee and just felt like mentioning it because I heard it in public comment.
Yep. That actually we already had a discussion.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we referred that to that committee. Thank you. Business and beautification.
If I can have a minute, I think I can get through all of it.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we are still awaiting LA DOT approval on the utility boxes that were approved before. I think we will get them done in time, but hopefully. Work with Brad from the mayor's office, contacted several owners and building management companies so that they could take advantage of the Emergency Renters Assistance Program. Most of them knew about it, but a couple people did need the additional information, so that's great. Josh already mentioned the International Food District in Palms. We're going to be talking about that more in the near future. We still have funds secured for the Palms Gateway Lighting Project. However, Bureau of Street Lighting has said that the costs have changed, so we're going to have to re-review that, so that's going to be a delay on that. Have made the purchases of the items for the Woodbine Kiosk Spruce Up. And if there are any volunteers who are expert at outdoor painting, I would love to hear from you. I've done some before, but I don't want to do it wrong. So if you know how to do that, you can go ahead and email me or email the committee at beautification@palmsnc.la. I will also let everybody know there's business at palmsnc.la if you want to ask questions about business related things that we can help you with. Those are two new things that Helen set up for us, and they will reach all the people on the committee and all of the business reps. And that's what I have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that update, Elliot. And thank you also for the great, excellent work on the Woodbine kiosk, something that's important in our community. So I appreciate you and folks. If there are volunteers, it's a great opportunity to get involved.
I do want to shout out Natasha on that because she did some very nice renderings that helped us with that decision.
Thank you so much, Natasha. We're going to move on to our Racial and Social Justice Committee. There are two motions here. I'm going to introduce the first one and go to public comment, and then we will go to discussion. The motion is to authorize the Palms NC to submit a CIS in support of Council File 21-0002-S83 in support of AB 144, which will create guaranteed health care for all, or CalCare, to provide comprehensive universal single-payer healthcare coverage and healthcare cost system. Healthcare cost control system. A representative from CalCare and someone in support of this particular motion spoke with the committee this past month, has some excellent information to share, and so the CIS that we're looking at is for consideration. So we're going to move to public comment on this first. All right, and is there a member of the board who wants to move this to the floor for discussion?
Moved.
Thank you, David.
Seconded.
Second. Josh seconds. All right. Board members, questions, comments?
So, really quick, I think it's AB 1400.
Thank you. Thank you.
1400.
It's AB 1400. Sorry for the typo on the agenda there. Appreciate that. Kay.
So, yeah, I just want to say that I feel really strongly that we ought to have universal health coverage, like every civilized country does. I really think it should be coming from the federal government. I'm a little bit ambivalent about California doing it on its own because I can just see them using this as an excuse to cut our school budgets and things like that. So I'm just throwing all that out there. I don't even right now know how I'm going to vote.
Thank you. Josh and then David.
Yeah, this is a very important, issue for racial and social justice. There's a lot of issues in minority communities of people not getting proper health care. Again, from dealing with taxes, I have to mark down on every single tax return whether somebody has health care or not. You'd be surprised how few people have health care, especially among my poorer clients. And this is just really important. Universal healthcare makes a big difference for everybody and should ultimately result in lower costs for all of us over the long run. It's a really big deal.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, just on the funding front, the legislation would require some sort of federal funding. It would not come out of, for example, education budget, which, by the way, has legal minimum, so it couldn't come out of education budget. But we passed it in one house of the legislature 2 years ago, and it never made it anywhere because we had Trump as president, who would never give us the funding that would be required. So we're in a place where we can do this as a state and be a model for the rest of the country.
Thank you. Kay, this is a new question or comment? Oh, your hand's up. Okay. All right. Seeing no other discussion from the board, we're going to go ahead and move this to a vote. Helen, when you're ready.
All right. Brendel.
Definitely yes.
Helen, yes. David.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Got it. Sorry, I'm just making sure I jump to the correct next page over here. Okay, sorry. Kay.
Yes.
Danya.
Yes. For sure.
Scott.
Yes.
Jesselyn.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Elliot.
On the idea of saying this is a good idea, yes.
Okay, Josh.
Let's make it unanimous with one last yes.
All right. So that motion passes unanimously. And Carly, we need to get together on your training to make sure that gets done so that you can vote on these too. But passes unanimously of those who can vote.
And Helen, just want to make sure you got the friendly change to 1400.
Mm-hmm. Yep, got it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, David. And there's another motion to submit a CIS. Folks can see the attachment. The attachment in our agenda, and then folks see the link there, excuse me, in support of Council File 20-0875, which has to do with disarming LADLT. I'll kind of just share in general with folks that this CIS is focused on the city exploring and response, excuse me, to LADOT. So the resolution is that, so I'll just read the last paragraph here, which is kind of, I think, the most important part for folks. So be it resolved that the Palms NC supports the City Council to direct the Los Angeles Department of Transportation and the Office of the Chief Legislative Analyst in consultation with community stakeholders to report on alternative models and methods that do not rely on armed law enforcement to achieve transportation policy objectives, including traffic enforcement, moving violation and vehicle code enforcement, DUI details, traffic collision reporting and investigation, excuse me, fare enforcement, bandit cab enforcement, and other programmatic areas, excuse me. Is there someone who wants to move this to the floor for discussion?
This Danya, I'll move it.
Danya will move it. Thank you, Danya. And Kay will second. We'll go to public comment on this first. Seeing none, we will go to discussion from the board. Jesselyn.
I don't know if I'm looking, well, I have two things. I don't know if I'm looking at something wrong, but I can't seem to read the CIS. The link wasn't pulling up. Can everybody else see the CIS written? Oh, okay, then I'm looking at something wrong. I couldn't read it for some reason. And then second of all, I think I'm seeing that the council file also passed. But if we want to make a comment on it, I'm down to do that too. Just
Oh,
two
thank
things.
you for, yeah, thank you. I didn't know this one passed. I think it's also,
Make
I
sure
think,
that I'm looking at it right. But-
yes. While it may have passed, I think that we also have an opportunity to weigh in here and just kind of like, I think, state our board's position on this. So I would encourage us to continue to vote on this. Josh.
Yeah, I mean, this is another really important one. You know, and one thing that it's important to remember, if there's ever an incident where, you know, there's somebody with like guns or something crazy and these people are unarmed, they can still call LAPD or SWAT teams or whatever. This is about like the day-to-day people not having weapons. So it's important, like I said, to remember in an emergency situation, like the right things would happen. It's just that we wouldn't have the day-to-day pressure that some people feel and see.
Thank you. Elliot.
So I see this as similar to the parks CIS that we did earlier. And I'm a proponent that only a certain, if we're going to have armed people, there should be a certain group of armed people, and then all other places should not be armed. So I support this.
Thank you. I know that many folks may have seen on the media, and if you haven't seen on the media, may have experienced. There are a number of problems with policing, and I think that having armed folks deal with traffic violations and fare violations and things like that, I think there are other methods, and I think that exploring those methods is really important for our city. And I think that you know, I think that yeah, folks are certainly impacted by in very real ways. By the fact that you know that folks are armed when handling some of these types of violations or concerns. So I'm generally in support of this as well. All right, let's go ahead and move this to a vote if there's no other discussion.
All right, trying to turn the camera back on. Hopefully my technology holds up here. All right, Randall.
Yes.
Helen, yes. David.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
Kay.
Yes.
Danya.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jesselyn.
Yeah.
Kristen.
Yes.
Elliot.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes unanimously.
Wonderful, thanks, folks. I'm going to move the Communications and Outreach Committee did not have a report at this time, so I'm going to move on to the Green Committee.
I have some great news. I think I'm about to knock out 3 motions off the agenda. Our first agenda we voted on last month. That doesn't, so that's good, done. The second motion, the Plum Committee also has on their notes, but I don't think that it's in their motions listed in the agenda. But this one was also passed. This is about basically evaluating funds with an equity lens and infrastructure in our city to really prioritize the inequities that are in certain neighborhoods, and that passed last week. I'm okay with not making a comment on it since it's passed and just moving to the funding motions if Helen is okay with that, my co-chair.
I'm good with that. I just wanted to note also that our next meeting is next week on Tuesday, and we do have a guest there from, what did I say earlier? LA, oh gosh, I don't want to get the name wrong. Somebody to talk about trees is presenting at our meeting. Oh, California Climate Action Corps, presenting at trees and some of their tree mapping that they've done, and hopefully to help us get more trees, including on Venice Boulevard. So if you guys are interested in trees, come check that out. Also, we gave out about 40 of the art kits at the farmer's market, but we have about 60 more. So if anybody has ideas for who those other kits can go to, please let us know. And that's all I had to say. Back to you, Jesselyn.
Okay. Do I just go into the funding motions, or do I let Josh ask a question? Randall,
Yeah.
I'll follow your lead.
Josh, Josh, real quick.
Yeah, we vote on tons of things that get passed all the time. If these are important, we should make a vote. If we don't want to make a statement or we don't want to waste time discussing, that's fine. But I want our name on it if we believe that it was important enough to run it through a committee. It's a big
Thanks,
deal.
Josh.
They look at these things.
Thank you. I'll defer to Jesselyn since her
I
committee.
want to table it.
right.
It's in our notes and in our agendas and stuff that we did the work, and I'm happy with that. And
All right.
okay.
Thank you, Josh, for that note.
I do think it's important, but I don't know. It's okay. I'm okay with tabling or, moving on to the funding motion. So there's two, and they're both related to each other. These dog waste stations. So the original installation plan had us drilling holes in the dog waste station. So the second funding motion you'll see was the one Kay had mentioned. We needed to spray non-rust stuff on the holes because they're rust proof, right? If it rains. Well, the other funding motion basically eliminates the need for the hole. So I'm not sure if we need the rust spray anymore. There are 2 dog stations that do have holes in them that will need spray. So I guess we need it for those 2. But the other funding motion for the brackets, and I think this might have been our problem with installation, but our friends at Vidivolo there's a contraption. It's a little metal thing that attaches to the box, which is a flat surface, and makes it be able to attach to the pole, which is a round surface. So it kind of does like this little thing. And I think that may be why we couldn't have installed them in the first place. It saves us the trouble of drilling the holes. And hopefully this will be the last motion you will ever see about dog waste stations.
Thank you for continuing to work on this. I know it's been something that's been important for our neighborhood and then a long-standing project that we've had for a while. I'm going to ask the folks, I'll ask Jesselyn first and the board. Is it okay if we vote on these as a package, vote on them together? Okay. If anyone would not vote on them together, just let me know and we can discuss them separately. All right. Then I will entertain a motion to bring this to the floor.
Moved.
I'll move.
Oh, second.
I'll second. One of us moves and one of us seconds. You pick.
That. So was that David who moved and Elliot who second? Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Public comment? Is there any public comment on this? Not seeing any?
I'm not seeing any either.
Wonderful. Board discussion. Kay.
I just want to say that my husband will be thrilled if we pass this.
Wonderful. Especially him of all people will be thrilled. I will be thrilled too. Probably not as thrilled as Jack.
He was gonna drill all the holes. That's like 100 holes in metal boxes.
Yes.
So
Thank you so much once again, Kay, for storing these in your home. At your home. Josh.
Yeah, I know this might be for like a small amount of money, but it's very important for us to follow through on the things that we promise to our stakeholders. And it's wonderful that we're finally getting this one over the goal line.
I think I'm going to do a dance when I see the first one. I have a dog, so now I'll do a dance with my dog.
Well, Helen and I are having a cocktail in front of it, and we're going to celebrate on the corner of Regent and Jasmine.
I may join you for
a
a
new
socially
dog.
distanced celebration.
So our new
All
dog
right.
will celebrate it with everyone.
Elliot.
Just really quick, it doesn't seem like anybody has any concerns about the $30 for the rust spray, but I will just point out that with the Woodbine kiosk update, we may find a use for that. I don't know what kind of spray it is, but just letting you know, it won't necessarily go to waste, even if it's only used on 2 of the boxes.
That's a great consideration. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move this to a vote.
All right, Rendell,
Yes.
Helen, yes. David,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
Kay,
Heck yes.
Danya,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jesselyn,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Elliot,
Yes?
Josh.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes unanimously. And
All
thank
right,
you.
Wonderful. All right, wonderful. Thank you. So I'm sure that that the committee will update us when they're installed. Thank you for that. I'm looking at the time. It's 9:30, folks. So I just want to ask, can we accomplish the rest of our agenda in the next 30 minutes? And can folks stay on? Are folks available to stay on for us to accomplish the rest of our agenda?
I can certainly stay till 10.
Okay. And for members of the public, we apologize. It's the end of our board term. We're ending as you know, a very important funding time with the end of the fiscal year. And so, folks, thank you for staying on and joining us. Our meeting is going a little bit later this evening than expected. And I appreciate everyone's willingness to stay. Let's go ahead and move on to the green homelessness and homeless advocacy and public services committee. There's a funding motion to approve an MPG for $4,996 for people organized for West Side Renewal or Power organization. Folks can see the supplementals for the application. Would someone like to move this to the floor for discussion?
I'll move. Second.
Second.
The two of you always.
It's my turn. I move it.
Okay.
I'm
Elliot
second.
moves, David second. I'm going to take public comment on this. We are on item G under, I'm sorry, item 7G.
I show so far one public comment, and I believe Pamela is our chair. Should she present first before?
Yeah,
public
absolutely.
comment?
Yes, let's promote her and allow her to share about this, and then we'll go to the public for comment.
Thanks, everyone. I can skip my report for this month in the interest of time, but I'm also late on submitting the committee report. I will do that ASAP. But yes, we had a great meeting last month. And yeah, so now to the spending motion. I just wanted to introduce and clarify that Power is the fiscal sponsor. Palms Action Collective is the mutual aid group that is going to be if awarded these funds, putting together the hygiene kits and distributing that and the direct aid. They're the folks that run the community fridge. For transparency, I'm involved with them, just started getting involved. I think it's great to have that, to know what's going on in the community and the folks on the ground doing the work. And so they run the community fridge. They're also a mutual aid group that does other stuff, and they're looking to support unhoused folks with these hygiene kits and providing direct cash aid to neighbors in need that need that. And I'll let them talk in more detail and answer your questions. We've got a couple of them here, a couple of members, and just to be transparent, I was not involved in the MPG process of creating the MPG, but I do support it and think they do great work, and it's a high ask because of the end of the fiscal year. So we went in, they asked for a lot, and I think they're open to whatever you're willing to vote on. So yeah, anyway, thanks for letting me introduce that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And thanks for that transparency, for all the information and additional context. We're going to move to public comment on this.
I show one public, now two. Grace was first. How long are we providing, Randall?
Let's give folks 30 seconds, please.
All right, Grace, you have 30 seconds. Talk when you're ready.
Hi, so as Pamela said, we're from Palms Action Collective, a very local group of neighbors that formed in response to the ongoing COVID-19 crisis. We did establish and maintain the Palms Community Fridge at St. Mary's, and we're hoping to expand our outreach efforts with the help of this funding. So the fridge focuses on alleviating food insecurity. The grant will be instead put towards meeting basic survival needs of largely underserved members of our community, namely our unhoused neighbors who live in the encampments, in the form of care kits, waterproof backpacks, direct financial aid, and hygiene necessities.
Okay, Kalani was next. Kalani, when you're ready, go ahead and start.
Could you remind me again what the amount was for? I can't seem to find it in the agenda.
The total is $4,996.
$4,996?
Accurate.
Okay. For kits to hand out, how many kits was that again? I'm opposed to it.
100.
Regardless, I'm opposed to it. As someone who has gone through the system because of my disability, I found so many programs just exist for the sake of existing. The last program had more employees than they had people they were helping.
Thank you.
I show Savannah Gardner.
Yeah.
You may start when you're ready.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Savannah. I'm another member of the Palms Action Collective, which is also born of the Mutual Aid Network Los Angeles. Part of the reason the expense is so high is the direct cash or assistance and $30 either in Visa gift cards, so folks We specifically picked that number so folks can remove the barrier cost to a lot of basic necessities like getting a birth certificate or the DMV ID fee, both of which are $30 or $28. Additionally, the reason that the purchase items for the hygiene kits are so expensive is that we wanted to pick high quality items so that our unhoused neighbors specifically can actually, like should it rain, should something get wet, those precious documents that often are a barrier to getting a job, getting housing, rebuilding credit aren't ruined.
And I show no further public comment.
Wonderful. Thank you, Elliot. And there's 2 hands up. Elliot, your hand's up.
Sure. So this is a little tangential, but I just want to say, while I appreciate Pamela's disclosure, and that's certainly necessary, I want to advise the board. This is one of the reasons why I strongly advocate for committee chairs and committee members to also have Brown Act training, because this is no small part of our budget. And so we need everybody to know what their risks are and what their responsibilities are, and that we should have them follow that. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Thank you. And Josh.
Yeah, so in going out to work with a lot of these unhoused people, the people from our homeless committee, I find out that they've been working at these same locations for 1.5 years now. It's the same people living out on the street the whole time. Some of the bigger challenges that these people have include transportation, going to places like government buildings. It costs money. You can't get free transportation out of a trash can or something, so they do need the money, and the supplies are critical. Today, somebody had to, literally one of the volunteers went walking several blocks to get laundry detergent for somebody, and all these sorts of things. So this stuff really matters a lot, can affect lives tremendously.
Thank you, Josh. Seeing no other, okay, yes.
Yeah, I think this is really a great cause, and the money would be put to really good use. I just think it's a lot of money, and that I'm not sure that we really have right now. And I would like to entertain maybe cutting it down some to make it easier to pass without impacting our budget for next year.
Okay.
So I'm going to propose a motion. I'm going to throw a number out there. You guys can do whatever you want with it. So we gave 2,000 to the last MPG. I'm gonna move an amendment to make this amount 2,000 also.
All right, there's an amendment on the floor. A motion on the floor to amend this to 2,000, the amount. Is there a second?
Second.
Jocelyn seconds. Discussion from the board on that, on the amendment. Jocelyn, I'm sorry, Danya.
Okay, so I just want to be clear. So I can't suggest another amount right now, or we have to vote on the 2,000.
I think
You
she
have to
can
move-
move
No,
to
she-
amend the amendment.
This
I
is
think
the
she
time
can-
to do it, because if we
Yes.
go by the logic that once it's passed, you can't do anything, this is when you have to make the suggestion.
So she can move to amend the amendment.
Yes,
I
that's
think.
correct. Yes, Danya.
Okay, yeah, I would like to move to amend the amendment. I'm suggesting 3,500.
3,500. Okay, so there's
I
a
will
second
second that.
there's a second. So Elliot has second the
Can I
amendment.
make a
to the
point of
amendment.
order? The actual NPG has 2 line items that are both different amounts for different things. I think it's relevant how the money is being taken and how we're dividing it up. Are we taking it all from one pile? Are we taking it from another? Are we dividing it up in some sort of ratio? I think we
let me
do
see
need
if-
to keep that as a consideration.
That's not our decision.
NPGs, sorry, just to be clear, NPGs are lump sums. We don't control
Okay.
how they spend it.
Thank you for that clarification,
Thank you.
David. All right, so we have an amendment for 3,500. There was a second, correct? So let's go ahead.
I seconded
and
it, yes.
Yes, thank you. Helen, do you have a comment about that or question about that amount?
Well, I have a general question, but I think it does apply to whatever amount we vote on. I'm just curious how these materials are going to be distributed and over what time frame. Like, are we thinking they're going to be given out by our committee next week, or like what the plan is for distribution?
Savannah has her hand up. I assume that
Oh,
she
I'm sorry.
wants to speak to that.
I'm sorry. I removed you as the panelist. I apologize. I'll promote you right back. Oh, thank you, Elliot.
Thank you so much, and thanks for that question. So primarily the folks that we've been working with are individuals on Venison Motor, Venison Sepulveda, a couple of housing insecure families that are staying at hotels in Palms, as well as the Durango encampment. So they will be distributed at those locations based on the relationship and the trust we've built with those folks, and specifically that have asked. A lot of those folks are long-term South Asian or Black residents of Palms, and so we want to make sure that we prioritize them in that process. And so that's where it'll be going. It'll be distributed through the Palms Action Collective in conjunction with Puma. We also have a tracking mechanism for that to kind of be able to understand how many are being given out, which encampment per outreach visit. And so we understand like the rate at which folks are receiving them as well.
Point of clarification, could you tell us what Puma is? I missed that.
Pamela, yep, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Puma is another mutual aid group in Palms, the Palms Unhoused Mutual Aid Group. And I incorrectly identified them by a different name, but they're the folks that do the power up tables 3 days a week in and near Palms. And we're also the ones that organize the stimulus check clinics that Josh supported.
Thank you.
I just want to point out, Randall, unless I'm missing something, is there public comment on amendments? I don't know if there is or not.
We can take public comment. I'm happy to do that.
All right. Well, Kalani has raised her hand. You want to give her 30 seconds?
David says no. Kalani, 10 seconds.
Real quick, Kalani.
It should be known that the homeless do receive assistance through SSI. They have Medicaid, Medi-Cal. They are not out there alone.
Is that a question, Kalani?
Oh, do you know that the homeless receive aid, SSI, Medi-Cal, Medicare? They are not out there alone. Thank you. Easily done. See, I aim to please.
Thank you so much. All right, and Pamela, I can't tell if your hand is up for this, or maybe that's the, okay, thank you. All right, I'm looking at board members. So 3,500 is the last number that we threw out.
If we've closed public comment, that's fine. I do show a new stakeholder who's raised their hand, so it's up to you, Randall.
I'm gonna, in interest of time, just move us on to a vote here.
So I'm sorry about that, but that is how this works. So thank you.
Can I ask one quick clarification of David real quick?
Yeah.
With the $3,500, would that, and the other one getting lowered, would that now leave us with the $10,000?
So I just did that math. If you know how I said there's kind of this $1,500 of uncertainty, we still have $500 to consider at this meeting, right? For the rest of this agenda. So that leaves us, there's a $2,000 uncertainty that we have. If we spend everything, that puts us at about $7,300. So if we don't spend that money, which is very possible, we'll be at about $9,000.
Thank you, David. Elliot.
So just very quickly, I want to say I would vote for the entire amount. I'm just concerned that this board is not going to, and that's the reason why I seconded this motion for 3,500. But I do, in thinking about this, I appreciate our constraints and so forth. We are not homeless, and so if you're not going to vote for the 4996, I encourage you to vote for the 3,500. But this seems like it's a worthwhile thing to do.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move it to a vote. Helen.
Okay, so this vote is for the amendment to the amendment, which is $3,500, just so everybody is clear.
Thank you.
All right, Randall.
Yes.
Helen, yes. David.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Danya.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jesselyn.
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Elliot,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
All right, so that motion passes unanimously.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So now we have two
Pamela
more votes.
and everyone else. Oh, right. Right.
We're not
So
done.
now,
No,
thank
I
you-
don't,
thank you for
I
that.
don't think,
So,
I don't
Yes,
think
it was
we
an
vote-
amendment to an amendment
Yes,
to an
so-
amendment. So now we have to
yes,
vote for the
yes.
amendment,
So
and
now
then we
we're
vote
actually
for
gonna-
the motion.
No, but the amendment now reads $3,500.
right, so
Correct, which we
we're
now have to vote
we're
on
now going
that.
to
Okay,
vote for 3,500. We just passed an amendment which would put the amount at 3,500. David, can you help me out here? Do we need to pass?
I don't think we need to do a second vote.
Yeah, I don't
on
think so
the-
either.
On the amendment. Now it's just we're voting on the full motion, which is a new amount.
I mean,
Wonderful.
technically,
Yeah,
I would
correct.
disagree with you, David, but I suspect the vote would be the same. But I don't know. So if anybody objects, they should speak now. Otherwise, we're going to vote on the motion. It looks like.
All right, hearing no objections. Then we're going to go ahead and vote to approve an MPG for $3,500 for people organized for West Side renewal.
All right. Sorry, cat
No
voting.
problem.
You can't see her, but I'm juggling a cat and trying to type.
The best of palms.
Yeah, there we go. All right, Rendell,
Yes.
Helen, yes. David,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
Kay,
yes.
Danya,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jesselyn,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Elliot,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
All right, that motion also passes unanimously, and I told Puma she's not old enough to vote.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Our Planning and Land Use Committee, there are 3 motions. I'm going to
Yes.
ask if I'm
I'm-
sorry. I'm going
I'm going to
ask if you can give me-
volunteer.
Oh,
I'm going
go
to
ahead.
volunteer that we
Oh,
take
go
the
ahead.
first motion and even though we pushed it off from last month, let's push it off again.
Okay.
Okay, and I wanted, the other 2, I think we need to do.
Okay. Would you mind, do you have a committee report as well?
No, I'm not going to make a committee report. I'm just going to do
Okay.
this.
Okay.
Okay.
So would you mind introducing the first motion?
Yeah, so the first motion is to approve a development project owned by Geneva Street at 3521 Hughes with the following conditions. 1, that the Plum Committee receives the landscape plans before the city approves the project. And 2, that extermination is done at demolition. I do want to say that the owners of the project are on this call in this meeting, as is the consultant. Yep, they're all still there. So
Yeah,
anyways, so if there's any questions, they're here to answer.
Okay. And I'm, if you can raise your hands, we can give you a minute to speak as well on the project.
It looks
Okay,
like
so-
Zachary Andrews has raised his hand. I assume.
Yeah, he's the
one of those.
consultant. Michael Owinger is there. He's an owner.
Wonderful. And thank you so much
And Cynthia Lowinger is there. She's an owner also.
Thank you.
I
Thank
don't
you
know,
all
and I don't
for,
know who Jay is. His
Thanks.
hand is up, and I don't know who that
let me
is.
see. All right, hands are up. We can go and promote these folks.
No, I don't know who Jay is. He's not related to this.
All right, you said Zachary. yes.
I'm the architect for the project.
Oh, sorry, Jay's the architect. I didn't,
Okay.
well, I didn't see a last name. There's lots of Jays running around.
Yes.
No offense,
All right.
Dave.
Did you all want to speak on the project at all? Zachary, your hand is up. You can go ahead and speak.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks so much for your time. I know it's been a long evening and we appreciate your time. We had a very detailed and productive conversation with the Plum Committee. We concurred with all of the recommendations for the project, as well as those of the Motor Avenue Improvement Association. It was a very collaborative and nice conversation. And all of those suggestions will be incorporated into the project. The motion before you is fully supported by the project team. We will supply the landscape plan once it is finalized before city approval for comment by the Plum Committee and the board. That's really all there is to it. More than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Wonderful, thank you. We will take questions and comments from members of the public first.
I show Kalani has her hand up.
All right, Kalani, you have 30 seconds.
Kalani, whenever
I'm
you're ready.
asking this of our developers.
I think we lost your audio, Kalani.
That was on me.
Okay,
Try it again.
I'm asking this of all developers, not just this one, because from the air, Palms is starting to look like a warehouse district because all of our roofs are concrete or they have air conditioning units. I'm asking all developers to consider green roofs or beautifying their roofs. So from the air, we do not look like a warehouse district. And also all that concrete just heats up our neighborhood, which is going to make it harder for us to grow trees and flowers and beautiful green things. So please
Thanks,
take
Kalani.
that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment?
I do not show anything else. Zachary still has his hand up. I don't know if there was something else he wanted to say with regards to that.
Okay, Elliot, your hand's up.
Yeah, so this is another tangential thing, but I've spoken with the Plum Committee about encouraging developers to distribute our paraphernalia, whether we have postcards or whatever. They haven't voted on that yet, but I wanted to let the board know that this is something that seems like a good idea, and wanted to ask if the developers would be open to receiving things to distribute to their residents from time to time.
Yeah, Zach, you can go and respond.
Actually, I show one of the owners, Michael Lowinger, has his hand up. Maybe he would like to address that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's see. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, we can accommodate that request.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's a few more hands. So we'll go with Josh and then Jessalyn and then Helen.
It'll be quick. I just wanted to thank all the people who came out for this project. It's wonderful that you take the time to work with our Plum Committee. I hope that you consider coming back to our neighborhood in the future and working with us again. It's always great when the people who are working in our area take the time to listen to the concerns that the stakeholders through us are able to give, and that you're accommodating to that. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Helen.
I just wanted to make a point of order. We haven't actually moved this to the floor yet.
Thank you.
I'll move it.
Appreciate that.
I'll second.
Was that Kay who moved it? And I
Yes.
didn't hear it. Okay. And who seconded it?
Josh.
Josh, thank you. Thanks for that point of order. Appreciate that.
No problem. That was the only reason I had my hand up.
Appreciate you for that. Jessalyn.
This may be way too in the weeds, and if it is, I know it's really late at night. I can go into it later. It's just something that, sorry. Oh, your CEQA exemption. I'm trying to really wrap my head around CEQA. Every development I ever hear of is CEQA exempt. I know CEQA is a really big beast, but I just don't understand what the point. Why do we have CEQA exempt, and how are you guys exempt? And I know, and again, like I'm just kind of like scratching the surface of CEQA, so that might be too. If it's too complicated to answer, I can do more homework. But
it looks like
Yeah,
Zach
Zachary,
can answer
hands
that.
up.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to address that. I was a CEQA consultant for a very long time before I was in this job. So CEQA has various categories of exemptions. A class 32, which is what we are pursuing, is an exemption for an infill project, meaning an urban site that is replacing a previous use that does not have a traffic impact, a historic impact, an air quality, or a noise impact. So that qualifies you for the exemption from CEQA. If you impact any of those things, you require a higher level of review, be it a mitigated negative declaration, meaning you have an impact to historic resources, but you can mitigate it. And if you can't mitigate it, then you're in the even higher level, which is an environmental impact report, which is a 2 to 3 year process that requires you to show that you have these impacts, but the city still wants your project. So it's a scale, and CEQA, which is the state law, permits these infill projects to be built with an exemption if they don't impact any of those 3 things that I mentioned. So I understand it. It's very complicated from a layperson standpoint, and honestly, as a CEQA consultant myself, it was extremely complicated. But most of the projects that you will see that are built in an urban environment will qualify for a Class 32, which is what we're pursuing.
Thanks for that question, Jesselyn. And thanks for that response, Zachary. All right. Seeing no other comments or questions, we're going to move this to the floor for a vote when Helen is ready.
All right. All right, Randall.
Yes.
Helen. Actually, I'm going to abstain because I feel like I don't know enough to know. David.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
Kay.
Yes.
Danya.
Yes.
Scott.
Abstain.
Jesselyn.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Elliot.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
So the motion passes with, I think, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yes votes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to the development team.
Yes, congratulations. Welcome to Palms.
Okay, so I'm just trying to go fast. So the next the next item on the agenda is CIS in support of Council File 21-0350. Okay, this council file really doesn't impact Palms. It's a Mike Bonin resolution, or Mike Bonin motion to take mostly public lands, such as parking lots and parks, and use them for tiny homes and safe parking and safe camping. And it's getting a lot of pushback from his district. They don't like it. And so if you look at the CIS, it says to support him in this effort and to call on the other city council members to be equally aggressive in their districts to get homeless people off the street in a nice way.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your thoughtfulness there and that consideration and for that introduction. I will ask, is there someone who would like to move this to the floor for discussion?
Move.
Josh will move it.
Oh,
Josh
second
will
by
move
David.
it. David will second it. Is there any public comment on this? All right, and seeing none, we're going to go to board discussion. Seeing none, we're going to move to a vote.
No, sorry.
Oh, Helen, I'm sorry, Jesselyn.
I just raised my hand last minute. I just want to say that I am really conflicted about this, as I've talked to a lot of constituents, heard from a lot of constituents directly. There's a lot of concern about our beach parking lots being taken for tiny homes. There's a lot of economics involved with tourists going to the beach and driving to the beach, and I'm not 100% sure I want to invest in a temporary fix. I don't know. I would rather have them be housed and give them resources. I'm not convinced this is personally I'm going to vote no on this, and I just wanted to explain that.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, I'm going to allow, if we can just yes. And then for this discussion, I'm going to ask that folks either bring questions or new items for consideration as far as the discussion. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna say that California, Los Angeles in specific, is already, besieged by tourists who are freaked out by, well, we're not besieged now because nobody's coming, but they're already freaked out about our homeless situation. I don't think taking our unhoused neighbors and putting them into some kind of shelter or some kind of safety will make it any worse than it already is with the tourists. And I just think, if you don't want these people on your sidewalk and we've got nowhere else to put them, if we can't put them on government property, then what do we do?
Thanks, Kay. Elliot.
So I've studied a lot of tiny home information over the last few years, and my presumption based on the use of the term is that these are essentially small mobile homes. What that means is that if there is a problem in one of these locations, it is relatively easy to move them to a different location. Whereas if we build homeless housing somewhere or take over a motel or something like that, you can't really move that. You have to throw people out of their homes. People could have this home and then it could be moved somewhere else and they would still have their same home.
Thank you, Elliot. Josh.
Yeah, I think it's important to consider that almost any area can come up with a reason why we shouldn't have homeless people here. Like, oh, there's this, or there's another thing, or there's this third thing. I think that every neighborhood in the city needs to take responsibility for trying to solve this problem. As far as I'm concerned, it's not just 15 council districts. I want to see 99 neighborhood councils each have a solution inside of it. We all as a city need to get together to solve this problem. And, we just got a deal, and we need to put more pressure on our city leaders to come up with better solutions than this, but we need to support the best solutions that we have right now because it's a real crisis out there.
Thank you. Helen.
So I think you guys have heard some of my thoughts on this before. I'm concerned about the tiny homes. I'm probably still going to vote yes on this, but I'm concerned about the tiny homes because I don't think that it's a permanent solution. I'd rather see us building more energy efficient, more permanent solutions, or obtaining existing buildings. And I'm also concerned about making people share a room, share a tiny home with somebody they might not want to share with. So I do have some concerns, but I'll probably vote yes on this anyway because I think we need to solve this problem.
Yes. Josh, I'm actually gonna if it's
Yeah,
okay, I'm sorry, I'm actually not gonna call on you. Just to move on.
Okay.
So can we move this to a vote? All right, let's go.
All right. Randall.
Yes.
Helen. Yes. David.
Yes.
Brendan.
No.
Kay.
Yes.
Danya.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jesselyn. Kristen.
Yes.
Elliot.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes with, I think, 10 yes votes.
All right, we are here on new business, last item on the agenda, I believe, to approve $500 to the Congress of Neighborhoods. Would someone like to introduce this and kind of share just briefly what this is? I think we know what it's about, but just share.
I'll be happy to introduce it. So Congress of Neighborhoods has new leadership, and I'm part of it. And I didn't ask for, I wasn't going to ask for money as we were in the old leadership because there were no budgets, there was no accounting. Nobody on the committee had any idea what was going on in the money. Okay, so now we've started. We've got actual accountability going on. We're working on real budgets and we're sharing information about how much money is coming in and how much is going out. I think it's important for us to support the infrastructure of the neighborhood council system. So far at the end, in the last month, we've got 2 NCs that have contributed. One contributed $5,000, one contributed $1,000. I am asking for us to contribute $500. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. Is there someone who'd like to move this to the floor for discussion?
I'll move it.
Josh will move it.
Kay will
Josh will
move it.
second.
Josh will second. Public comment on this? Is there any public comment? I see Kalani's hand.
Kalani, when you're ready.
Just wanted to say I missed the public comment for the last vote because I stepped away to answer Nature's Calling, but I was opposed to it, but you all passed it. So, c'est la vie.
Thank you, Kalani. And
I
not
see no
seeing
other
any
public comment.
Thank you. I don't see any either. So move to board discussion. Josh.
Yeah, I just want to point out that in talking with Raquel, she wants to close all the special accounts out and limit the ability of NCs to donate to alliances. So our ability to donate to Congress or budget advocates or tribunes or literally anything may be something that's limited going forward. So if we do want to contribute money to these things, now would be a fantastic time.
Thank you for that additional information. All right, seeing no other comments or questions, we're going to move this to the floor. Oh,
I
Elliot.
do have one other question. Is this for anything specific, or is this just for the General Congress Fund?
It's for the General Congress Fund. We're planning to do an online Congress this year. We're going to have expenses in terms of like, Zoom stuff and whatnot, and translation and things like that. So we do need the money.
I have one question. Is there a projection for how much this is going to cost in total?
Oh gosh, there is a budget that started, but it's not completed. I could go find it and pull it up. But so the answer is there's a kind of, but it has stuff in it that has to get pulled out. There's stuff in it that some of us, including me, don't agree with.
All right. I just want to note that oftentimes when we get funding to folks that we know kind of where the project is going, how much the project is going to cost, and where the money is going to go. I do trust that there will be a Congress of neighborhoods, but I am a little concerned that there's no, we're contributing $500, but I don't know to what larger amount that's what the goal is, right?
Right. Okay. So let me just answer that a little bit. Right. There's two things going on. The account is somewhat depleted. Okay. So we're starting the work actually to build towards having an in-person Congress next year. I'm sure I'll be asking for money next year again. But because the account is depleted, we want not just to pay for this year's, we want to also pay for next year's. And it typically costs in the range of $40,000 to $50,000.
Thank you. That was helpful information. Very useful. Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll move this to a vote.
Okay. Down the list. Randall.
Yes.
Helen. Yes. David.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
Kay.
Yes.
Danya.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jesselyn.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Elliot.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Wonderful. Thank you. And congratulations, Kate, and your
Thank
leadership
you.
in that leading the neighborhood Congress.
And
Glad-
thank you,
glad
everybody.
Glad you're there. It's 10:05. I appreciate the 5 extra minutes. I also appreciate everyone's thoughtfulness and consideration in helping this agenda happen. Have a wonderful night and stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.